My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. August 11th, 2025, 6:57 a.m. License DZ48B36, 9LFH500, 23103U1 is still gang stalking at Economy Inn, by the way. License plate, starting the ignition while engaging in surveillance in the parking lot, 8EDV437, engaging in and facilitating the sex offense of keeping a woman under surveillance. This is a Latino male. License 9EKC937, 4MOC754, WJB0551, that's a Texas plate, 9C1K164, and at 6:58 a.m., the fake sun is not at the Ontario Town Square. It is at 2301 South Euclid Avenue, which is third-party facilitated venue Economy Inn, where the fake sun is still present at this venue as I'm standing in the same parking lot, where this Latino male is engaging in surveillance, keeping a woman under surveillance in furtherance of a conspiracy to murder in concert with the government and the rest of the demon-possessed who are mentally ill psychopaths and sex offenders gang stalking together at this venue and doing so all night long. License 3TBG137, 9SYE890, 5AMV693, 5MFZ739, HARI777, KKB999, EF22C70, EE94Z99 paper. And that's third-party facilitating the economy and the license plates parked there. At MOBIL 2315 South Euclid Avenue, gang stalking 3UUU144, license 92557W2, DEO7Y02. And the fake sun that I'm capturing at 2301 South Euclid Avenue moves as I move, just like I documented the fake moon being at 150 East Hope Boulevard, where the Ontario International Airport is also proven to be stalking, engaging in satanic means of targeting and furtherance of committing murder, gang stalking with the people of the state. And that fake moon traveled south on this same street. And this is where the fake sun is, traveling north with me. License plate 167770. That's a California exempt plate. That's a female driving that white, looks like a Ford Explorer. Off of the 60 freeway at 7 a.m. She's gang stalking. She's driving a government vehicle. This is P.O.C. All right, these Latino males, this is Jaime's Landscaping Tree Service. These Latino males are gang stalking at the Mobil gas station. You'll see the fake sun while they open up the hood of the car to engage in surveillance at gas pump number 8, license plate 6Y50806. And they're gang stalking with the Latino male at the entrance of Economy Inn. Doing so while they are aware that I'm documenting. These are what the demons do, come out and engage in surrounding connect. This is the ongoing threat that the Ontario police engaged in with the gang stalking immigrants, hostile to my documentation. That's occurring in real time. And the parking lot becomes fuller, the 7-Eleven becomes fuller, and it becomes fuller with whatever subject it is that I'm talking about. So if I'm talking about demons that walk dogs, a lot of demon, third parties, state actors with pets are going to arrive engaging in the pattern of conduct. They're demons who are engaging in stalking, and they're sex offenders, mimicking what it is that I document in real time. That's also very unfortunate and imprudent when you are going to document a stalker that is a psychopath that is engaging in a documented pattern of keeping my evidence under surveillance and literally engaging in real time what it is that I'm dictating, as though I'm telling them how to engage in stalking me, and the demon possessed actually do it. It's currently 7:01 a.m. This is P.O.C. Driftwood Village Shopping Center. It's gang stalking. Keeping a vehicle parked in the path, aiming light. This is what UPS is doing as I'm documenting the Ontario Police gang stalking at this same location right now, where the fake sun is in alignment to me at 7:02 a.m. If you'll recall, I'm in the same parking lot where the Ontario International Airport flies over my head at 12:51 p.m., where the Ontario Police are gang stalking while I'm at the grocery outlet. I'm also documenting the fake sunset at this same grocery outlet where I'm standing facing the Ontario Driftwood Village Shopping Center. And this is also where the Ontario International Airport is stalking in the path with commercial planes, flying over the venue as I'm standing here with the fake sun. Remember, the fake sun is here at 7:02. The fake sun is here setting as well, as I've documented already. And that is before 2025, well before 2025. You'll see the Ontario International Airport gang stalking hovering over the Driftwood Shopping Plaza. The Driftwood Village Shopping Plaza. That's gang stalking in the fake sun. That is not at the Ontario Town Square. And this is what you're recalling exactly what I stated, what you witnessed, and what United Airlines clearly told you and communicated to you while the government is gang stalking its own federal prosecutor. The entity is gang stalking, and United Airlines is gang stalking. FedEx and UPS and Southwest Airlines are gang stalking while they're hovering over Metro 102 apartments. And that fake sun is there before 7 a.m. I'm capturing video at 6:35 a.m. where the sun is not at Metro 102 apartments at 102 Lemon Avenue, adjacent to where the Ontario City Hall is, as I'm in that parking lot. And that is also where the Ontario International Airport likewise does not have any location where you would be taking off from 2500 Airport Drive and hovering over the roof of that apartment complex in the direction west, as though you're taking off there after flying miles away from the airport. That's the entity that is stalking using commercial planes. That's the entity that is mentally sick. That's the entity that's conspiring murder of the American citizen that they are proven to be stalking as demons who are targeting in the same satanic pattern of conduct. All right, the demons are, in other words, just using commercial planes while they're stalking me obsessively. And that's speaking to the necessity of removing demon-possessed, gang-stalking public officials like Alan D. WAPNER. Okay, this is P.O.C. The entity is maintaining ongoing video. I'm going to capture video right now, rather, of the entity maintaining aerial surveillance with these demons at Philadelphia rising in elevation right here. It is, that's Amazon Prime. You're gonna see sharp incline right over. Oh, I'm sorry, that's United Airlines. This is the behavior of the demons as you document them. Flying over the intersection and now flying south down Euclid Avenue. This is P.O.C. This is wild impossible light activities on the ground. That's not sunlight. That In-N-Out Burger is creating. Monitoring for NW9408. In-N-Out headquartered in California, moving to another state while they're gang stalking in California the entire time. In-N-Out is a third-party gang stalker, maintaining, facilitating venues, but they understand it's not just that demon driving that vehicle with that logo on it. It's representing what the people of the state of California are doing, including United Airlines. And there is no coincidence. Let me show you the fake sun right here. This is grocery outlet. I'm documenting inside of this grocery store is the sunset while they are stalking in a grocery store, and they being the demon possessed that are both going into the venue to engage in stalking, working at the venue engaging in stalking, and their demons doing so. That's already on the record. Not only that, the entity is keeping the fake sun here, and I'm at Metro 102 where United Airlines, the demons that are listening to you, expose them, like engaging in a picnic. When I say you can engage in engaging in the picnic, and you're engaging, and then you engage in that seconds later in the specific environment, that's what United Airlines, that are domestic terrorists. They murder American citizens. They don't have accidents. Those are psychopaths who are engaging in domestic terrorism in the state of California, using commercial airline planes, the most demented and expensive means of stalking one person whom is prosecuting them. And that's why United Airlines just did this right here. They took off right here in Philadelphia and flew a circle around me and went back the opposite direction, clearly communicating that they have no intention to even make it appear as though they're doing anything other than stalking me and maintaining ongoing surveillance of the evidence of United Airlines stalking me. This is the foolishness that United Airlines exhibited when I used the video documentation that they handed to me days ago, and I showed you how not only the people of the state, United Airlines and every other airlines, but all the other demons stalking with them are engaging in what is nothing other than targeting. Those are the mentally ill that don't have any self-control, and this is what the entity is, stalking with light activity. So that's what Wine Barrel right here is engaging in. This is what Driftwood Village is engaging in. This is surveillance. And this is the fake sun, the ongoing conclusive evidence. And this is not at the Metro 102 apartments where United Airlines, FedEx, UPS, and Southwest Airlines, in the manner that you just saw. Okay, this is 2275. This is where the fake sun is at 12:51 p.m. Ontario police are stalking right here. I'm walking out of this venue right here. Ontario International Airport hovers right here, makes a U-turn, flies over me, and then flies over in this direction. At the same time, also pay attention to the moment that they do it. When I refer to you, remind you about the fact that Alan D. Wapner is a gang-stalking sex offender, keeping my vagina under surveillance, while commercial planes are stalking, just like United Airlines just demonstrated, under a fake sun. The fake sun is still here at 12:51, not the natural environment. In a natural environment, the sun would not be here, contrary to what I documented, over the top of my head at the same parking lot at 12:51 p.m. It is 7:07 a.m. This is where United Airlines is demonstrating the fact that they're domestic terrorists, and so is In-N-Out. In-N-Out is nothing other than a gang stalker with a logo on it. 9ELW686 is a demon-possessed gang stalker as well, creating light activity, audible activity, obsessed with my vagina, keeping it under surveillance on the roads and the highways wherever I'm at in the city of Ontario, as the population shares in that. This is the prosecution of the state of California, and it's the disbanding of the Ontario police. They're fully engaging in this psychopathic and sexually perverted pattern of conduct. And it is the outward demonstration of mental illness. And mentally ill, the mentally ill are stalking, okay, using United Airlines airplanes. And that's the commercial that the United Airlines, that the American citizens that are gang stalking in this country, they want you to know about. And it's my pleasure to deliver that factual information to you. This is the RICO case against United Airlines and every other airlines. And this is also speaking to the necessity for the protection of the American public, that the Ontario International Airport be shut down altogether. It is currently 7:08 a.m. This is the removal of Alan D. Wapner from office, Paul Leon from office, the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department. This is P.O.C. All right, capturing video of United Airlines. Spectacular evidence just provided to me, which I did not need. And you're also not only looking at United Airlines clearly stalking, but you're also looking at the location I'm at, and you're also looking at the environment, because the fake sun, as I documented in that video, is present at this same address setting while I'm inside of this grocery store, grocery outlet, and the fake sun is in alignment to me inside of that grocery store setting, in a position where the sunset is created in alignment to the windows of that grocery store, and the demons that are stalking on the roads and the highways are in the grocery store stalking inside of a store. Okay, the entity is engaging in that P.O.C. while United Airlines does a donut around me in this parking lot. And those are the mentally ill
that are so out of control. And I want to be clear, these are the mentally ill that are filled with the spirit of Satan. That's what's animating their demented behavior. If you're when you're looking at the evidence and you're looking at, wow, why would someone be so foolish to engage in that conduct when you're documenting, and she's clearly not making it up, and why would you add to that credibility by engaging? Because these are not sane people. This is the spirit of Satan that's using their bodies, their minds, their sane minds. They're gone. You're dealing with what is actually crazy people. These are crazy people who, and the level of desperation is very obvious as well. And that's what I mean with regard to a threat to the public. That is what's flying United Airlines. That's what's calling itself the president of the airport authority, Alan D. WAPNER. That's what's calling itself the police chief, Mike LORENZ. That's what's calling itself a police officer, Alex Escobar. Fill in the blank. That's what's driving Ontario, City of Ontario dumpster trucks. These demons are stalking and they're obsessed. They're mentally ill. I just want to be clear. This demon possession is showing what is mental illness. ATFX 813, stalking in the parking lot, impulsive light moves across the venue where he's in the parking lot in the shade, and a demon driving a truck on the opposite end is no possibility to have what is sunlight reflecting off of him. These are the demons that are stalking. Taking pictures of them right now, engaging in surveillance. This is somebody that works for Metro. His name is Tony. He's stalking. All right, he's engaging in licensed U.S.C. combat vet. This is a psychopath. Okay, he's very much acquainted with my vagina, and he's invested in keeping it under surveillance, stalking, while the entity is maintaining aerial surveillance, and so is this sex offender 7EIM 388. And they're gang stalking with corrupt business while Southwest Airlines is hovering in a manner that has nothing to do with taking off, and United Airlines has already shown you that. This is what Delta Airlines is engaging in while I'm capturing it on video. This is while the fake sun is not at anywhere in Monrovia, California, where the entity's keeping the fake sun at the Courtyard by Marriott venue. These are the demons that are exhibiting mental illness while they stalk in the path with peculiarized light, while they are stalking under a whole fake environment, that is including the fake sun, and with engineered light. And when their whole circus environment is exposed, their mental illness becomes even more and more obvious, such as flying a circle around me using a United Airlines plane and following me. License 1561237. You'll see a demon operating a dumpster truck, pulling around the receptacles that they use to create loud, thunderous activity into the depths of my hotel room, into the depths of Tracy Banks' apartment, on the streets and throughout the entirety of the neighborhood when I'm walking down the street. This is a demon representing the removal of Polyon from office. License 1561237. This is the municipality exhibiting demon possession, stalking. Amplified audible activity, fake sun. All right, the fake sun is still here in the middle of the afternoon. The fake sun is here hours later, where you will see Amazon Prime in 2021. Gang stalking at the same intersection. Fake sun is over the top of my head, where a whole society of dead people, they're demon possessed, are proven to be gang stalking. It's going to be an epic prosecution of the government. 7EIM 388 now gang stalking on Philadelphia. 7 P.O.I. 233, 8 ZOH 683, 9 TCE 309, 9 BCN 873, 9 9 FXN 267. License 6VBY258 at U.S. Fuels, 2155 South Euclid Avenue, 7ZLX 778. And this is how pathetic a whole population of people are, but you need to understand that these people are already dead, and so are their brains. Okay, once Satan has possessed your body, there's no level of intelligence or education or training that is going to change the fact that that level of desperation what takes over. That ongoing satanic behavioral pattern is what takes over, and it also overwhelms what is a so-called educated gang stalker. There's no such thing. They are all under the fake sun, engaging in the same exact behavioral pattern. This is the behavior, this is the conduct of Satan, and Satan is using the people of the state. If I've shown you how you're identifying Satan, and Satan is making mentally ill, obsessed stalkers who are violent sex offenders while they're gang stalking. This is P.O.C. U.S. Fuels is gang stalking. Chevron Driftwood Village Shopping Center is gang stalking. Economy Inn and Mobile is gang stalking. Southwest Airlines, United Airlines, the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking. The corrupt demon over a position of leadership while this corruption is underway, Alan D. WAPNER, is gang stalking. The mayor of the city, while the population, the government, every level of government and everything operating under that dangerous and corrupt leader, Polyon, is gang stalking. All right, it's currently 7:13 a.m. and there is no coincidence. 9AGE 812, as I document and remind you about the gang stalking by United Airlines, and then those demons using United, they're going to regret that. They're going to regret that. The entity gang stalking by United Airlines, as I document that, and you're going to recognize that pattern throughout the body of my evidence. Throughout the body of evidence, excuse me. As I refer to Amazon Prime, you'll see a bunch of cockroaches with Amazon Prime logos surrounding, and that is the terrorism that the mentally sick engage in, and I document it, and you're going to prosecute with that. License plate, 9LDC176. They're going to regret it. They're going to regret it. License plate, 67890Z1. This is the business of U.S. Foods. This little mom and pop company, these are the companies that aren't going to exist. They're not going to make it through a prosecution. They can't even afford the damages that are inherent to gang stalking and furtherance of murder. Okay, let alone a criminal prosecution. This is the entity that's stalking the businesses, the guys where they're coming and making delivery of products, where they're present, filling up their gas tank, and engaging in what is any sort of transactions with the establishment. They're gang stalking. They're stalking in the path with light activity under the fake sun, and that is deliberate. That is a deliberate, malicious guise of the same satanic targeting system. And that level of malice is a threat to American citizens. And you're going to pay dearly for that. Okay, it is currently 7:15 a.m. This is where the entity is stalking. You're looking at operational communication devices. Look at the engineer light on the ground. This is where engineer light's moving all across the venues. This is where gang stalking immigrants, 66CRWSH is gang stalking and molesting with impossible light activity, and doing so under the fake sun, which is not. It is not, I repeat, not at the Ontario Town Square where Securitas is engaging in criminal summoning with Ontario Police, Corey Watson arriving, don't forget about that. It is not at Woodside Senior Apartments, reflecting off of the apartment complex windows where Tracy Banks' unit is, Unit 51, reflecting off of Unit 48's window, and then creating what is my shadow behind me because of that tremendous level of ability of ricocheting off of window, that absurd environment. But it's not at Woodside Senior Apartments. Not Y7NOE113, not while they're driving under at Philadelphia and Euclid Avenue. It is not at the OVITT Family Community Library. Contrary to what I'm documenting when I'm at 215 East C Street, when I'm at the Ontario Town Square, and I'm looking at that light source, I'm looking at my shadow on the ground, and if it's over there, then it's not right here at this gas station where a bunch of demons are stalking in commercial vehicles and their own vehicles, which is speaking to the criminal conduct by the mayor, by the city, by the municipality, by a whole population, and they're all dead. And so is their level of reasoning. EF66J80, that's a gang stalking third party with a minor child in the backseat. 9MJZ371. These are the people in the state that harm minor children. They kill children. They sexually violate children. And then it's reported on the news and you're traumatized by the violence that is just inexplicable and you don't understand. They're demons. They're demons. And you were warned years ago. I've been documenting this for years. That's what's harming little kids. Demon-possessed, gang-stalking fake mothers, monitoring my vagina with their babies in the back seat. It is currently 7:17 a.m. It is currently August 11, 2025. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, here's the entity stalking. Flying over Euclid Avenue. That is Delta Airlines. I want to let you see that. This is the government that has no qualms with you seeing them targeting. That's Delta Airlines doing a donut. This is, I want to be clear, 2205 South Euclid Avenue, 2155 South Euclid Avenue. Here's the fake sun that's nowhere near Metro 102, Woodside Senior Apartments. It's not even over Economy Inn. This is the entity that's flying over the airport that Delta Airlines is not engaging in any departure from 2100 Airport Drive. Miles away from that airport where you're hovering and then doing a donut to go back and then make a landing, or you have passengers on the plane where you're departing from the airport, you're taking the passengers on a detour through the city as you're hovering over the venue, and then you're going to go back and continue with the rest of your flight. That's over the 60 freeway. On the Ontario International Airport website, the entity is engaging in what is doing donuts by Delta Airlines, United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, and it's not published on the website, where L&D WAPNER is engaging in facilitating and direct engagement in gang stalking, and that is done in furtherance of murder, which is what Delta Airlines, Southwest Airlines, United Airlines that are gang stalking in video and images are openly engaging in. That level of impunity is relevant to damages, is relevant to the criminal prosecution, the federal imprisonment of gang stalking pilots who are engaged in psychological torture. That's what that is. And it's also under the fake sun at 7:19 a.m. The entity has the fake sun over that parking lot, which is Economy Inn on the opposite side of this parking lot over here, where UPS is hovering over the roof of that hotel. Okay, the reason why Delta Airlines is doing, first of all, a donut, flying along, which is Euclid Avenue, and then going back this direction is because I'm here, which is evident by the fake sun, that is also here at this same venue at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, where the same airport is engaging in targeting, and the entity is doing so with the rest of the people. Say this is all pacing. When they're flying over 325 West G Street, where the entity has the fake sun in the morning, that's not anywhere near what is 2155 South Euclid Avenue. Okay, and you're not going to forget, because the entity that's engaged in the pattern of conduct, license 7JTV322, 9JJC125, gang stalking parents who do commit murder of their children, and then you're appalled by it when you see it on the news, but you're witnessing them engaging in domestic terrorism right now, and you should not be surprised. These are the demon-possessed. They're already dead. The dead want to hide amongst those who are normal, living, healthy beings like you and I, as you're watching me expose them, but they're not. And they commit murder at the order of their father, Satan. These are the demon-possessed, and they're engaged in stalking me together. In their disguise, and an unclever one, having kids. I want to be clear, those kids engage in gang stalking as well. Demon possession is not limited to the Asian majority. And it's also not based on the affiliation with any capitalistic endeavor like what Delta Airlines is representing while they're gang stalking. And that is clearly having nothing to do with arriving or departing from the airport. And that's exactly what United Airlines is engaging in. This is the wealth of evidence of the entity targeting, and the specific environment is also that ongoing corroborating evidence speaking to that which no person can manufacture or make up or combine coincidentally over and over and over and over again. That's Delta Airlines that is openly letting you know that they murder American citizens, that they are engaging in terrorizing them, that they are an enemy to this country, that company, and the employees of that company, while they're keeping my evidence under surveillance and openly targeting. That's P.O.C. Okay? The entity is then maintaining, engaging in totally different conduct, only totally different on the surface, because that's equally crossing path, that's equally surveillance. Delta Airlines went to the extent to hover so low so that you could see that Delta logo on the underbelly of that plane and engage in what is nothing other than doing a donut. But there's no difference. But you're also going to look at that variation of conduct using commercial planes at a heightened elevation where you're not listening to or hearing any audible noise, and then you have that Delta Airlines, United Airlines, and Southwest Airlines conduct. Which is what they're all doing. I'm just pointing out the third parties that I'm documenting. Hovering, doing just donuts, all manner of direction. And it's all centered on what you will see, the correlation of where I'm located. And it's also day and night, because at nightfall, the engineer light is also present, which the Gang Stalker Economy Inn is one of the forefront. And also the Gang Stalker Driftwood Village Shopping Plaza, engaging in what is provision of evidence where they're targeting me amongst the demons that are engaging in corrupt business practices. B715CO, P.O.C. It is currently 7:22 a.m. Those are the domestic terrorists that you need to take heed, who are present, and they are masquerading, hiding under company names that you support, that you do transactions with. And I would be very much aware. This is P.O.C. It's currently 7:22 a.m. All right, Delta Airlines engaging in the same pattern of conduct, and doing so, remember, they don't have to fly along the sidewalk over my head like United Airlines did, like they know that they did at nightfall while I am at the Ontario Montessori School. Repeating that targeting conduct does not make it less punitive with regard to repercussions. It doesn't make it less targeting. It doesn't make it less incriminating. It makes what are the demons who are targeting me obvious with regard to knowledge of the documentation where they are obviously targeting. And that's relevant to also the demons that are stalking, flying along the sidewalk over my head where the fake sun is present. And they did the same thing at nightfall, as I've documented. And while I point out that damning evidence, the demons who are, again, have no defense, they engage in more of that targeting conduct by flying along the sidewalk. That will never make what Delta Airlines and United Airlines is doing today under the fake sun in conformity to the pattern of conduct normal, because that's exactly what they're replicating while they did that on Euclid Avenue at nightfall while I'm walking down the street. And it has nothing to do, again, with an arrival or departure. They repeat it because this is the pattern of conduct. The entity that is corrupt engages in corrupt conduct, which is shown to be criminal, and then they engage in more of it because that's supposed to suggest in your mind, where the entity thinks that they are controlling your mind, your processes, your opinion, and what looks guilty because they do it right in front of your face. That's the entity that's going to be prosecuted civilly and criminally. Very highly unintelligent. Delta Airlines just engaged in incriminating conduct, not coincidentally as I document them, but because of knowledge of documentation, and I refer to it. They forgot that they did that. I reminded them, and those demons did it again, and it is equally damning like when they did it in 2020. It is currently 7:24 a.m. This is P.O.C. Thank you. This is the entity that is targeting on OMNITRANS. And every passenger getting on is gang stalking, 7:24 a.m. And that's what I'm saying. There's no pause in the pattern of conduct, and you're supposed to, we're going to do it again because we're openly engaging and flying along the sidewalk, hovering over this venue, and not targeting. It has nothing to do with targeting. In fact, we'll do it again in front of your face just to show that it's not targeting. That's the logic behind that conduct. That is obviously deviating from what L&D WAPNER would suggest has to do with the published arrivals and departures pursuant to commercial airlines and the purchasing of tickets traveling, arriving, and departing from destinations at the Ontario International Airport. The entity, again, that has no defense and is highly unintelligent. This is what I'm stating with regard to the demon-possessed. It doesn't matter what their training, what their line of business is. It doesn't matter how advanced. It doesn't matter that they think they are, by the way. It doesn't matter how what position they hold. You're looking at the absurdity of the conduct that is obvious, especially as I pointed out to you, and anyone can see that. You don't even have to engage in what will be a thorough investigation of the corrupt business practices and operations of the Ontario International Airport and every airline that's engaging in stalking while I'm walking on the sidewalk, and those planes at the Ontario Christian School are hovering over me, engaging in donuts over the top of my head and under the fake sun, where I remind them that they've engaged in that obvious targeting at Economy Inn at this end of Ontario for years, by the way, and they engage in replicating that. That's not helping them. It equals obvious targeting. That's what it is under all circumstances. The entity that repeats it is the entity that's acting with impunity. That's relevant to damages. It's relevant to federal prison terms. It's relevant to the prosecution of the state. 7TJW748, stalking with impossible light on the roads and the highways with OMNITRANS. That is stalking. And OMNITRANS is also associated with the corrupt public official L&D WAPNER. This demon is going to be removed as I'm documenting and you're witnessing the ongoing terrorism that he was responsible for, the roads and the highways, gang stalking, using public transportation. These are demons that are engaging in what is gang stalking. And in the same way that gang stalking is demonstrating to you the willingness, the ability to engage in criminal acts that are foreign to you until you hear about it on the news, such as murder. This is what the gang stalker is targeting for. This is what the gang stalker is poised to commit while they engage in an unabated program of psychological torture and stalking for no reason whatsoever, other than the fact that they derive pleasure from it and that they anticipate that they'll get away with it because of numbers. The demons have a false sense of confidence because there are more demons than there are those like myself, but it only takes one person. Okay, and you only have to engage in targeting like United Airlines and Delta Airlines, and you only have to do that one time. It's within the pattern of conduct, and it's also not coincidental while those corrupt companies conspiring my murder and kidnapping. That's a substantial means of draining the pockets and prosecuting. Gang stalking pilots are going to federal prison. That's what they're supporting, because we're beyond proving it. You're understanding what is supporting all the policies that I advocate that are already laid out. When I have told you this is what they're doing and this is how you must address it. This is what you must do, in addition to embarrassing them. Okay, it is currently 7:28 a.m. This is P.O.C. The entity is keeping the fake sun in alignment, and I'll go ahead and take a picture of that, because that is also how you know that Delta Airlines is stalking me. That's how you know that Southwest Airlines is stalking me. OMNITRANS is stalking me. It's not the maintenance of a legitimate business. It is the identification of public corruption and the maintenance of a specific environment that follows where I go, so that gang stalkers like OMNITRANS and Delta Airlines can keep you under surveillance, keep me under surveillance. And that's the federal RICO case as well. You're going to prosecute businesses and the government for engaging in war tactics against an American citizen, psychologically torturing them as they are conspiring to murder them. And this is what these corrupt businesses, the Ontario International Airport, Delta Airlines, United Airlines, Southwest Airlines, they are openly engaging in that and communicating to the public, to the nation, that that's exactly what they're engaging in, and doing so with impunity. With impunity, they're openly letting you know that. So I just want to, in case you are not clear about what's being communicated directly, expressly, and impliedly, that's what it is. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:29 a.m. This is P.O.C. at Mission and Euclid Avenue. You will see the fake sun in alignment to me at Mission and Euclid Avenue. I've been at this intersection in the middle of the afternoon. The Ontario police flying in circles over my head in the white and blue helicopter. The people of the state gang stalking as a population, where the sun would not still be at this intersection, where OMNITRANS is maintaining its bus route. All right, and the people of the state are gang stalking as a population, and you're just never supposed to recognize that. This is the evidence that surrounds gang stalking co-conspirators to murder, like Delta Airlines, like Southwest Airlines, like United Airlines. This is P.O.C. It's currently 7:29 a.m. third-party facility and venue, 921 South Euclid Avenue, 925 South Euclid Avenue. You will see the fake sun over me on OMNITRANS, and it then immediately moves to remain in alignment to me while they are stalking by place of residence, engaging in the public corruption of gang stalking as the people of the state living, working, traveling, maintaining criminal presence while the government's engaging in a no longer secret surveillance system. That is the engagement in what is the conspiracy to murder an American citizen. This is where the entity is gang stalking with commercial planes as well. It's 7:31 a.m. Again, that's 921 South Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California, and 925 South Euclid Avenue, where the impossible is present, that the entity is keeping the fake sun. Speaking to it's impossible with regard to what is compared with the natural environment. The sun that is at the Ontario Town Square, then, for example, at this same exact time, and remaining there as I remain at that venue, and I, on one random day, get on the bus, and I'm at the same time at 925 South Euclid Avenue taking a picture in order to prove it, and I'm showing you the sun that is over me, over that venue, not a private property, or surveillance by the government, not the presence of a private citizen that's minding their business that has any protection under the law. And it's the same with regard to the gang stalking airlines, the gang stalking airport, the gang stalking people of the state like OMNITRANS that's engaging in a business while surveillance is simultaneously underway. This is P.O.C. It's 7:32 a.m. The people of the state are boarding while the fake sun remains. This is crossing path light activity and impossible light activity. I've been documenting OMNITRANS for years. While Delta Airlines engaged in the pattern of conduct, they are prosecuting their co-defendants in every form of them, every mode of their co-defendants gang stalking. P.O.C. 7:32 a.m. Seven BQW 371 9HGN 118. And this is how you get to the entire state of California, because while I take OMNITRANS to Fontana, you are aware of what the city of Fontana is engaging in under the fake sun, including at nightfall where the same exact engineered environment remains present. This is what the city of Colton is engaging in, Arrowhead Regional Medical Center that committed kidnapping with this same entity, doing so with the intent to criminally defame, while they are targeting me in the same exact manner, which Delta Airlines, United Airlines, Southwest Airlines provide ongoing corroborating evidence, prosecuting all of its co-defendants, including the people of the state and the municipalities, every municipality that's gang stalking in the way in which the city of Ontario is engaging in that. The entity is a gang stalking while I'm showing you in the city of Chino, when I'm showing you in the city of Pomona, when I'm in the city of Los Angeles remaining at Alvarado Gardens, and I don't get on any public transportation. I don't leave that property where the entity is rising and setting the fake sun, and the LAPD and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and the Los Angeles County Fire Department are maintaining heavy helicopter activity under that fake sun rising and setting over me at one address where that same specific environment is present, and Delta Airlines, United Airlines, Southwest Airlines are engaging in open engagement in terrorism and psychological torture. It's the prosecution of the state. Those are the unintelligent demons who provide evidence against themselves, conclusive evidence. I don't even need 6 years of documentation, which I have, in order, while Delta Airlines proves to you that they are targeting and they represent the whole state. It is currently 7:34 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, OMNITRANS gang stalking using the bus as audible activity, a whole bunch of demons under the age of majority, monitoring Title 18 federal stalking using communication devices. And the state's going to be prosecuted for the ongoing systematic contribution to the delinquency of minors that are engaging in state terrorism and psychological torture with the people of the state and with the government. License 1613631, bus number 1220, and you will see the fake sun at the 150 East Holt Boulevard, where I've documented the fake sun into the afternoon, literally coming from the same venue, because this is what I'm documenting in June of 2021, coming from Economy Inn in the middle of the day after 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and OMNITRANS is gang stalking me in particular, molesting me, license 1613613. That's a sex offense while they open and close those rubber-bound doors under what is not the sun, and they're doing so while they are monitoring me, and they're monitoring while evidence is being documented. That's the ongoing impunity that's built into the criminal act committed by the public entity. Okay, it's not impunity that you're recognizing because, oh, they're still doing it while I document on this day. No, impunity is at the forefront of what the prosecution entails, representing a government. The government that's gang stalking acts with impunity. from day one. The government that's engaging in the pattern of conduct is acting with the intent to obstruct justice from day one. The entity that is gang stalking never intends to be caught. You're going to prosecute based on what is an inherently exacerbated crime, meaning the government is acting in furtherance of committing murder. They're not targeting you because they have an intention to stop doing it when you start documenting them. They're not doing it because they have an intention to stop threatening you so much and targeting and torturing you because they're scared that they're going to get caught. They're targeting you and they have every intention to murder you, and you're not dealing with sane people, you're dealing with demons. They're already dead in their mind, where they have engaged in what are wagers that you know nothing about with Satan, and if they don't kill the targeted individual, Satan's going to kill them. That's what you're dealing with. Context. Now, whether or not you understand that or accept that is irrelevant also, because I have documented tangible evidence of not only targeting, but targeting with impunity. The level of desperation, still targeting, still molesting, still terrifying and terrorizing with amplified audible activity, still stalking like Delta Airlines and United Airlines is doing, flying across the sidewalk. They're flying over me on the sidewalk, and then they engage in a donut. That is, let me paraphrase that for you. Let me fly right over you. I'm gonna do what you just described right now in plain view. I'm gonna do it again right now since you want to talk about it. I'm gonna do it right now again. Go ahead and get it on video. And I don't care that you're going to put that in federal court. I don't care that the judge is going to see it. I don't care that it's going to be a basis of suing. I don't care about what it is that you analyze about that and how you expose it and put it on the internet in real time. I don't care about what American citizens, what the rest of the world is going to witness while you associate those logos with domestic terrorism in the United States, in the state of California. They don't care about any of that. And they're also, by the way, engaging in a lost wager. Not only am I prosecuting, and you're recognizing impunity in that. That's what I'm paraphrasing the message that is reasonably deduced from that obvious mode of targeting that Delta Airlines, United Airlines, and the people of the state just committed. But you need to understand that these are demons that made a sacrifice. They gang stalk people in order to kill them and get away with it. That only works against demons like them. By the way, PSA, you need Christ Jesus if you do not know him as your Lord and Savior. He is coming back in judgment, and there are people that are already dead. They don't even have any hope. Their mind, their sanity is so gone, they're not in a position where they will submit to Christ as their Lord and Savior. That's how gone they are. That's how, and the scripture says this, that he is not always going to strive with us. There will come a point to where you don't want to repent, and that's it. And that's the state that many of the lost are at. They're not going to repent because they don't have the mind to. They couldn't if they wanted to. There are those that are going to hell, and that's exactly where they're going, because they're not going to get to a point of humbling themselves and accepting Christ as their Lord and Savior, asking for forgiveness for their sins so that they can get their right mind and not do things which is going to put you in federal prison for the rest of your life, not do things that's going to ruin your business where you want to appear as, oh no, I'm not, we're not targeting as a business. We're not horrible monsters that are aiding and murdering and executing American citizens. We're not that. Please don't associate our logo with that. Please don't associate our business with that. Please don't stop shopping with us. Please don't ban us in this state, in this city, in this county. Please don't do that. This is where you're doing that. Their mind, their sanity is gone. These are demons. They're already dead. They're already dead. They have sacrificed themselves, and there's a level of desperation that is spiritual in its core. I am documenting it, giving you that context, but that's not what you prosecute with. I am documenting tangible evidence of targeting. That ongoing obvious means of targeting, such as what you see these commercial brands engage in, they represent the government. First of all, it's not private activity. It's occurring in the specific environment. Second of all, it's not normal, it's not natural. That environment is letting you know the context, in addition to clearly just flying over. How is that having anything to do with arriving at 2500 Airport Drive or departing from that? It's miles away from the airport. When you are taking off from the airport, this is not rocket science, and there will also be a thorough investigation about the operations of that airport. You are never taking off from an airport in the way in which you do when you're on a flight. You go straight up into the sky and you are looking at, it's beautiful. I've taken pictures of it. They tell you to turn your phone off and put it on airplane mode. You're looking at the landscape and you can see the clouds. You're above the clouds in the sky. Okay, and everything looks like teeny tiny when you're looking at that. That's not what the city of Ontario is engaging in. How are you engaging in that, taking off and initiating a flight to a destination when you are flying miles away? You are necessarily hovering back down if you ever took off at a great elevation in the first place. Coming to where I'm located, proven also not just by your presence, but by the timing that you're arriving, engaging in that, and pursuant to what it is that I'm documenting at that moment in time, also proven through the specific environment. When that airport's not doing anything other than surveillance, maintaining ongoing commercial flights in an environment that proves that they're not going anywhere, they're demons who are pacing. They're surrounded with evidence and they're dead. They're already dead mentally. There is no operating intellect. There's no reasoning. There's no rationalization. Whoa, 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 what are we doing here? Okay, there's evidence proving it. That's not what you're dealing with. Dead people. Let me be clear. This is not going to happen, but this is where they're at. The demon-possessed are at. They need something to happen quickly with regard to my demise, because Satan is he's coming to collect. He's collecting people's lives. He's collecting their financial well-being. It's going to change the trajectory of their life permanently. You know why? Thousands of people, public officials, law enforcement agencies, entire agencies. These are demons. This is a cult. This is a coven. These are the dead. This is what California is engaging in. They have made a bet against a child of God. And guess what Christ Jesus said? Guess what he said? These are the fools that thought it was going to happen in the first place. It was never going to happen. Christ Jesus is on the throne. He defeated death. He already rose from the dead, okay? And they were never going to complete this. This is a trap, because the wicked are going to pay for what they've already done to other people. I'm here telling you what they do to people. And this is their demise, and you're going to witness it in the physical. Going bankrupt, facing homelessness. They're losing their careers, their positions. They're losing their lives. They engaged in death methods. They tried to kill me. You understand that they engage in murdering people using witchcraft? That means I'm going to kill you with no hands, haha, because they think they're magicians. They do that. It only works against the lost like them. It doesn't work against a Christ follower like myself. Somebody who knows Christ Jesus. I walk with him. His spirit fills me. The same spirit that rose Christ Jesus from the dead is inside of me. It will never work. And they're all desperate. They're waiting for something to happen, and it's never going to happen. Their own death is what's coming. And this is not proclaiming death over. This is spiritual truth. It's the fact of the matter. It's period. It's the reign and deity of Christ Jesus. They did it to themselves. In addition to that, I'm going to prosecute, and you're going to witness a prosecution of the wicked. You're going to witness it. And it's occurring under the guise of, how is Satan appearing? Public corruption. It's Satan. It's the work of Satan. And all of his minions are together being shamed. All of them together are going to serve the consequences for what they decided to do. In the same way that you have a decision to make every single day that you have breath, and don't assume that you have breath tomorrow, because tomorrow is not promised. But right now, the opportunity is to accept Christ Jesus as your Lord and Savior, because he's coming back, and you're going to witness a lot of people who are going to be openly judged for the wicked things that they tried to do in secret, in the dark. And it's coming out, and the prosecution is a part of exposing that thoroughly. And it is the reality of Christ Jesus. You can deny him all you want. You can be defiant all you want. You can rebel all you want. But there's a consequence. There's a day that is coming. There is a day that is coming. All right? So I just want to be clear. This is what this is about. I'm prosecuting. But I don't fight these battles. They came against Christ Jesus. While they thought that they were going to bully me and take my life and take my money, by the way. None of it's happening. And I'm not going anywhere. And they're also going to compensate me for sleeping outside while a bunch of demons are engaging in sex rituals on my money and property that belongs to me, and thought that they were going to murder me in order to cover it up. And public corruption is inherent to that happening. And this is what they do to American citizens. This is why gang stalkers in Ontario are targeting me. 7 TKW 178. They've already sacrificed their own lives. This is that level of desperation. But I want to be clear. Continuously serving Satan, you've already signed off on your death warrant. You've already signed off on it. You've consented to it. You've participated in it. You're reaping that. It's not going to happen, and it never is against a child of God, a Christ follower. Somebody whose purpose it is to let you know what Satan is doing. And I want to be clear, this is common sense. If my employer, Christ Jesus, told me to do this job, who are you to think? Only someone that is listening to the liar. The liar who wants you to die, okay? That's his job, is to kill you. To trick you into your own death, because you have to cooperate with it. You have to agree to it. You have to be so deceived to thinking that you were going to accomplish it in the first place. Who are you to think that you're going to stop my employer, Christ Jesus? Only one that is deceived. And you want to know who the state of California is deceived. You're going to witness tremendous judgment. It's already happened. You're going to witness it amongst those that call themselves friends and family members of mine. And they did it to themselves. There is no name beside Christ Jesus. There's none above him, before him, beside him. There's no substitute to him. Satan himself is a spirit, a created one. Everything is created. So I just want to be clear, this is what you're witnessing. This is that level of desperation is because these demons are out of time and they're losing their lives. And I want to be clear, they are insane because basically they're reaping more judgment. It's never going to flip in their favor. And by the way, it never was. It never was going to happen in the first place. They were the ones that were originally deceived, excuse me. And they're engaging in this criminal pattern of conduct, and it's never going to turn out. There's not going to be any last minute, oh yes, we got her. It's never going to happen. I'm keeping and I've been maintaining all of my mind at every phase of this prosecution, because this is what has been going. While they're targeting me, I'm prosecuting, because that's what Christ Jesus told me to do, prosecute. He handles all of my battles. This is a substantial, tremendous, victorious defeat of the enemy in the public for your benefit, whoever are those who are listening. Okay, like that's what I stated from years ago. This is not about me. It's about me. They're targeting me, but it's not about me. Those of you out there that need to know that Christ Jesus is real, because this is what he does for those who love him, who follow him, who are obedient to him, who are loyal to him, which why would you do anything else? Why would I follow my own mother? Why would I follow anybody else? It makes no logical sense. And it also is the desire of my heart. He is a good father. He provides tremendous victory. Okay, substantial victory. Literally saved my life when he died on the cross and rose from the dead, and saved my life again. Did not permit Satan to murder me and get away with it and profit from it. He's a good God. And he's a good God because of who he is, not just what he's done. Because he is God, period. This is not preaching. This is the truth. And it is directly relevant to what I'm documenting, to what you're witnessing on the internet. This is why the lost, this is why they're doing what they're doing. And it's sad because they have children with them. Those children are damned just like their parents. Those parents have reaped this on their lives of their children. They have chosen when it is not the Lord's will that you have a bunch of families that have chosen their own demise. Gang stalking families, gang stalking cities, gang stalking counties, a gang stalking state full of the wicked, full of them. And they all made a wager together. They all took an oath together. And guess what? When they took that oath, they vowed to lose. They vowed for severe consequences that they can't even face. So you know what the delusional do? You know what the demon-possessed do? They continuously engage in gang stalking. And guess what? They already lost. They're not accomplishing anything. You know why they're still targeting right now? Because they're in denial. They are in denial. This is literally mental illness that you're witnessing. Now, for me, it's with regard to what God told me to do on day one. I've been prosecuting, and I'm going to continue documenting with regard to a prosecution that I already won. Because when I say that you were targeting, I mean until the day that you're in court and the CEO shareholder is being held accountable for the harms inherent to targeting me as a corrupt business, psychologically torturing me as a corrupt business, conspiring with my murder as a corrupt business that's gang stalking. My evidence is going to show until that date of that court hearing, they were still targeting. That's why I'm documenting. They already lost. It's already over. They're in denial. This is the entity that's engaging in that. There is nothing to gain other than trying to soothe your own mental illness. Your own obsession with not being able to face what's happening, what you did to yourself. Why did you do that? Why are you still? Because they can't face reality. These are the dead, and guess what? They killed themselves. They killed themselves when you sought to sacrifice a child of God, which is an innocent person. Because I am not suggesting that anybody, just because you don't know Christ Jesus, now there are implications. You don't know Christ Jesus, I want to be clear, he is the door. There is no way to the Father but through him. But with regard to your right as an American citizen, they're sacrificing and murdering people. And because you don't know Christ Jesus, that doesn't mean that they have a right to do that to them. They murder people. And they celebrate it. So when their life is on the line, how does that feel? What's that pressure like? What does it feel like? They can't even face it. That's why they're still gang stalking. And that's what I'm telling you. When they're engaging in this conduct, and it's obvious, the world is witnessing, and everybody knows this is not a mystery. They're doing it at this point because Satan is desperate and in denial. Satan, I'm referring to the demons that are gang stalking. This is not traffic. They're still targeting with regard to, you're not going to have any last minute slam dunk. This is not a game. You gambled your own life and you lost in that wager. And you're going to lose when you play ball with Satan, who is not your friend. He hates you. He's going straight to hell, and he wants you going to hell right along with him. He doesn't want you to know that that's where you're headed, though. He deceives you thinking that you're making progress, thinking that you're going to accomplish something, thinking that you're headed in a certain direction. It's all an illusion. It's as fake as the sun over the top of my head. That's how lost they are. They're not getting anywhere. And they're not accomplishing anything. The entity lost this federal case years ago. I established the P.O.C. years ago. I'm going to prosecute for the ongoing intent of the pattern, the evidence that's just going to show how they sought to obstruct justice because they thought in the face of my evidence, then on top of that, then you're going to steal my intellectual property and then profit off of that. And that's where you also get this obvious stalking on camera. That's probably because these demons thought that they were going to take it, and it doesn't matter. Let her record it because they were convinced that I'm going to be dead anyway. That's going toward impunity, federal imprisonment. People like Alex Escobar who are going to federal prison. He's going to federal prison. He is going to federal prison. It is currently 7:54 a.m. The fake sun is over the Ontario Town Square where it was not earlier, but that's where I captured it days before. As you look at the big picture and what is a body of evidence even before 2025, stalking that is identified in an environment, that environment is conducive to surveillance by a population that is severely mentally ill, it is demon possessed, participating in a criminal pattern of conduct that is satanic, committed in furtherance of conspiring the murder of an American citizen. Both that conspiracy to murder is a crime and engaging in the gang stalking. The gang stalking is literally committed in furtherance of that crime. And then you have the entity that's engaging in intolerable acts. You're already not supposed to be gang stalking and engaging in psychological torture. And then you commit kidnapping as a gang stalking police department. You can kiss that department goodbye. Because you're not going to remain. You are literally a wound. You are a poor example that the rest of the world are not going to witness the United States just pacify. You're going to be disbanded. All right, the entities engage in this pattern of conduct, and this is relevant to all of that pattern of conduct. Everybody that's engaging in it and the way that they engage in it, while fools like United Airlines, Delta Airlines, Southwest Airlines openly target me by flying over my head and on the sidewalk. And it's relevant to the timing, the environment, the documentation engaging in that same conduct before. These are fools that are already lost, and this is relevant. I'm just giving you context. These demons are in denial, and this is not the celebration of the destruction of the wicked. But I will say this, he is a God of justice. Yes, he is a God of mercy. This is why he died on the cross and rose from the dead. He is a God of mercy. We don't deserve to have our sins forgiven. We don't deserve to have God Almighty be our substitute, but he's a God of mercy. He chooses mercy and grace over judgment without any mercy. We don't deserve that. But he is also, this is what people want to forget about. He's a God of judgment and justice. And that does bring sweet satisfaction to my heart. It is not the celebration of the destruction of the wicked, but it is thankfulness for the justice of God. Justice is a holy thing, and he's about that as well. The two are not in conflict. So I just want to be clear. The entities engaging in this, and it is not the celebration, but I want to be clear, they did it to themselves. Don't forget about that. In the same way that I choose to follow Christ, I choose to be obedient. I choose to not target people whether I think that they're a bad person or think that they're a good person. I'm not in anybody's business to that degree in the first place. It's weird. They're weird. They're demons. They're weird. Okay? But aside from that, you make a decision. They chose death. I choose life. Everybody has a consequence for what you choose to do. There are things in scripture that says do not do any harm. Do not touch. I'm paraphrasing with regard to his servants, his prophets. Now, there are things, God is not a joke, whether you believe it or not. And you can make your own God and refer to the trees as your God, refer to the fake sun, a work of Satan, as your God. You can refer to another person as your God, but it will not make it the truth. That doesn't make it true, okay? The truth exists, contrary to what philosophy teaches us. The truth exists in and of itself. It just does. The truth, which is God Almighty, Christ Jesus himself, created the ability for people to even come up with these notions of philosophy whereby they would then disregard the reality of God, the God that enables them to make these mental processes and come up with humanistic methods of trying to remove God, which is the creation of your own God, idolatry, to remove accountability before God because you don't want to humble yourself before him. That's to your own demise, for which there is a consequence. There's a consequence before everything that we choose to do. Okay? It does not make it the truth because you assent to it, okay? So I just want to be clear. The reality of who Christ Jesus is the one on whose name I am documenting the pattern of conduct. The ability to see it, he even gives the ability to prove it so that there is no confusion. This is not revelation coming from Satan. A house divided is going to fall. Satan is not out here revealing the secrets of Satan. The wicked are not out here engaging in what is giving revelation about their secrets and then also at the same time. And no, that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening at all. And that's not how it works either. The entities engaging in that and what they have engaged in, they're going to pay the penalty for it. And that's just life. That is life. Now, who are you as a corrupt government to try to force someone to do anything or stop anything when God himself doesn't force himself on any one of us? You have a decision to make. You have a choice to make. It's Satan that wants to deceive you away from that, though. That wants to try to even threaten you. They gang stalk people into not believing in Christ Jesus. They gang stalk people into thinking that God doesn't love you. They gang stalk people, target meaning they target you, harass you, and you don't understand that it's spiritual. Satan, who is your enemy, who does not want you to believe that Christ, Satan that will use somebody and say that they're a Christian. And that is the person that hurts you the most, so that you will forever associate Christ Jesus, the one who loves you and died for you, with whatever it is that lying demon did towards you. And it is not the same. He is not the people that are around you who are sinners, created beings who very often misuse the name of Christ, and for which they're going to answer. They're going to answer for that as well. I just want to make sure that this is clear, because yes, I'm prosecuting and the case is already complete. But you need to understand, the case is complete, and you're witnessing the delusion, the denial of the demon-possessed, who have severe consequences for what they sought to do against the child of God, for what they sought to do against, when you're prosecuting, the federal prosecutor. In case you're aware, you don't interfere with any ongoing federal case against yourself or anyone else. You don't engage in trying to tamper with witnesses. You don't engage in trying to steal evidence. Like, they are delusional. There are consequences in the physical. Like, I'm going to prosecute you for that. And guess what? It's not based on whether you want to accept that I'm the federal prosecutor or not. It's not based on that. You will become a believer when you're subject to the consequences. But unfortunately, that's too late. It's too late. All right? It's currently 7:57 a.m. This is audible activity under the fake sun at the Ontario Town Square, which followed me to this destination, which is speaking to the criminal engagement of monitoring by the City of Ontario Town Square, a function of the City of Ontario that is targeting as a population and facilitating that targeting in furtherance of committing murder. It's currently 7:57 a.m. It is 8:37 p.m. 4 WUY 260, 7 TUR 997, 6 ENS 083, 9 NAT 176, 69850 T3, 8 LHC 456, 8 YDM 418, 7 VJP 456, 7 NYL 962, 6 ZRH 145, 7 VMP 221. These are the people of the state that are engaging in gang stalking as I have exited the establishment where ongoing surveillance was maintained all day long. Not only by the OVITT Family Community Library, which is the City of Ontario, but all of the demon-possessed gang stalkers that maintain surveillance by being inside and outside and around and over the sky space, engaging in massive surveillance as a demon-possessed population. Maintaining that surveillance, as the images reflected upon my exit will show, of the San Bernardino County Housing Authority is where the Ontario International Airport is maintaining flight hovering over in relevant position, maintaining the elements of monitoring and engineered light. They're stalking as I exit the library. 7VQH268 is sharing in that pattern of conduct. So is ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue, a demon going into the back parking lot with regard to where I'm documenting. And so this is a demon that's getting in the path in order to maintain surveillance. Heavy set Latino male. License plate 5JZT856, and it's currently 8:38 p.m. Also license plate 7HWX195. This is the ARCO and the Chevron where I took a picture of the fake sun this afternoon. And I took a picture of that fake sun after 4 p.m. If you'll recall my documentation of California Highway Patrol at Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue, that fake sun is there at 6 in the morning, and I captured it over the top of my head where these establishments are gang stalking right now. And the ignoramuses that are demons who are gang stalking are in this environment where stalking is underway by businesses. License 5PBB728, engaging in stalking at a gas pump. That's a psychopath. Him and his female that's in the passenger seat. Understand that these people that are together, couples, stalking a person together, you know how sick that is? These are predators that violate children and teach children how to be predators. It's very sick what the demon possessed do. License 9SRB 699, 9PSE 426. It's one thing to be involved with a sicko that you don't know what they're engaged in, but they're both in agreement together, stalking me together, obsessing over my vagina together. Those are demons. That's the P.O.C. It is currently 8:40 p.m. License plate 7ADL006. And I'll show you who they're stalking with. It's the demons that are maintaining ongoing migration north up Euclid Avenue as I walk north up Euclid Avenue, hovering over the intersection where the people of the state are maintaining the elements of monitoring gang stalking. And that's the demons, like you see Delta Airlines. If you looked at the documentation published on the venue of the internet, on YouTube in particular, where I can clearly illustrate to you a pattern of conduct, especially down to venue and company name, Delta Airlines has quite the prosecution ahead of them, and the ongoing impunity that Delta Airlines is exhibiting right now, while they are a part of the criminal conspiracy to murder me, and Delta Airlines is still targeting, that's going to be relevant to damages. It's going to be relevant to federal prison, where pilots who are stalking using planes, that's where they're going. License 7ADL006, and this is why you have planes that are migrating north as I walk north, and that's how I'm able to capture a very specific pattern of conduct by Delta Airlines and every other airlines, 5LJC630. And that is speaking to the mental illness of those that are stalking in such extraordinary means with regard to their obsession and their delusion. You need to understand that demon possession is a threat to the public. It's identifiable, and it's also diagnosable with regard to the behavioral health of those that are of that condition and their criminal activity. And this is what Delta Airlines is associated with, and what Delta Airlines is going to be prosecuted for. And that's, Delta Airlines is not the only one. If you'll pay attention to my playlist about Southwest Airlines, the ability to have a playlist speaking to the pattern of conduct down to a specific venue and or company, this is the entity that's going to be engaged in what is a serious prosecution, and it's going to be thorough. It's going to be detailed to the point of what is a company name like Delta Airlines, but it's also going to be as thorough and comprehensive with regard to what is state conduct. Alan D. WAPNER, who is going to be removed from office for ongoing stalking, and doing so in the most absurd manners, because this old man is a psychopath. He is engaged in rampant corruption, and he spends millions of dollars on it while he invests in this stalking system, which is underway throughout the state of California. And Delta Airlines is engaging in terrorism throughout the country. All right, and obviously they fly in and out of the U.S., so this is what they're engaging in outside of the bounds of the United States of America. So I just want to document that. This is migration of the planes. This is what they were doing this morning at 6, 7 in the morning while the entity is stalking, having nothing to do with it. I'm much closer than 2301 South Euclid Avenue. But even where I'm located at the Housing Authority off of Lemon and this ARCO at 4349 Euclid Avenue, none of this has anything to do with taking off. And that is relevant. Why? Because when you're taking off from an airport and you are not engaging in what is targeting any location in the city, when you're minding your business, engaging in what are the published departures and arrivals to and from the airport, then you are not hovering in the middle of the city, miles away from that airport, in an inexplicable manner, but also in the specific environment, which is relevant to a pattern of conduct. Southwest Airlines has documented gang stalking me in Los Angeles County, in Orange County, where the fake sun is over me. I'm going to prosecute that company and every other one. These are the demons that do not learn. You know why they do not learn? Because they are mentally ill. This is actual mental illness. Mental illness that causes what is a threat to the public because their behavior, based on their condition, i.e. mental illness, is relevant to what is certifiable, and also that which is relevant to a prosecution. And it's requiring the removal of mentally ill, corrupt officials like Alan D. WAPNER. I'm prosecuting him while I'm on OMNITRANS. I'm prosecuting this demon while I'm being followed and pursued by commercial planes, demons that are surrounded by evidence. And they're engaging in that ongoing stalking still. And this is why Delta Airlines and every other airlines is going to be relevant. It's relevant to the federal RICO case, and a RICO case is no small thing. All right, this is P.O.C. It's currently 8:44 p.m. This is P.O.C. Those images will be uploaded to the Google Drive of the Ontario International Airport. All right, generally speaking, documented the airport stalking, engaging in surveillance, following from place to place, doing so as I've been documenting on an ongoing basis for years, by the way. all right, flying over my head, flying across the sidewalk to terrorize and threaten and psychologically torture me, especially while the demon-possessed know that I'm documenting. So they fly, hover over me on the sidewalk, engage in doing donuts over my head, far deviation from the airport to communicate a threat, a specific one, while they know that they're being documented, that they are specifically targeting me, which is also reasonably deduced from the maintenance of the fake sun and the engineered light in concert with the gang-stalking police department. I'm going to prosecute every single last one of these corrupt companies that like to engage in sexual violence. They like to terrorize American citizens. They like to murder them and conspire their murder. They derive pleasure, and they represent the demon-possessed who are flying these planes. They are going into mental asylums and federal prison. They're going from the cockpit to prison. They're not going to remain a mystery. There is no anonymity here. I'm identifying the pattern of conduct. I'm documenting it. I am not maintaining my own investigation by myself. I started it by myself. I have forced the government to acknowledge it and prosecute and provide justice, but I am not the only one investigating, and there will be supplemental evidence, and these demons are going to be identified, and they're going to prison. It's currently 8:45 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, amplified plane activity while ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue, Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California. You already know that Starbucks, which is across the street, is engaging in the pattern of conduct. They're doing so while the evidence is being uploaded onto the Google Drive, and I will show you what the entity is doing as I publish it, just like what the Ontario police were doing this morning, stalking. All right, the Housing Authority, San Bernardino County Housing Authority is where these demons are rising up here in elevation, as though they're taking off right here. And from that distance, amplified plane activity, that's happening. All right, there's no, just like Delta Airlines, it's not airlines this morning, Philadelphia, there's the airport over there. They're doing donuts, flying over me across the sidewalk, and then going back in the opposite direction. This is hovering at the United, at East Street and Euclid. They're doing so with simultaneous to uploading evidence using the Wi-Fi where surveillance is underway, where the city of Ontario is engaging in criminal surveillance in violation of Title 18, and so are the people of the state. This establishment, 506 North Euclid Avenue, they're gang stalking. So is the third party pumping up their gas. They're engaging in what is the ongoing racketeering. Criminal monitoring is underway while they're making purchases. The business is operating while criminal monitoring is simultaneously underway. While the government that is monitoring with them is in the sky space, this is gang stalking with the establishment and the people of the state who make up the entity that's targeting together. So is 434 North Euclid Avenue. All of those third parties represent the federal RICO case against ARCO, against its employees, against the government that's gang stalking, and it's embedded into society. This is public corruption while they're engaged in making purchases for the council They're driving on this side of the street, and you see light moving across the storefront. These are the demons when they're driving on this street, and inside of Starbucks, engineered light moving around like tornadoes. That's where the Ontario International Airport is targeting using commercial planes. So pay attention. This is Exhibit A, and this is the prosecution of the entity that is acting with the people of the state. Delta Airlines represents a third party. Southwest Airlines represents a third party. The city of Ontario, the Ontario International Airport, represents the state. They will be prosecuted by company. They will be prosecuted with regard to draining the pockets and criminally prosecuted as businesses are engaging in crime. They're engaging in criminal activity. And common sense, and nor does it require rocket science. The sun doesn't remain over one building for 12 hours. And also, 2500 Airport Drive is not located behind the Housing Authority on the back here. And there is deviation from the airport to what is the sound of like takeoff here. These are the demons that are highly intelligent that have been stalking all day long, and the fakes that remain on the same street. We saw the fakes on the same over me on the morning. That's where the enemy is stalking, and that helps us there at my vagina. A whole group of sex offenders are monitoring, and this is what they do when I'm in the bathroom. The people of the state are violent sex offenders, and so is the company ARCO. So is the company Chevron. These are companies that are so is this. This is control. All right, and these are the sex offenders that are stalking by patron, being patrons in the facility of the venue, which is the racketeering. That are hovering, rising over the venues back here. This is Lemon Avenue back here. There's no airport which you are flying miles away from 2500 Airport Drive. Where, by the way, I have the evidence of the fakes that are remaining over me at 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Stalking the fakes at the facility venue of the Ontario International Airport that's engaged in domestic terrorism, presenting a national security threat, including again on video. The mentally ill are going to federal prison, and they continue to
call the mentally ill and doing gang stalking, which is commercial planes. Keep that in mind when you're looking at the news and you're looking at plane traffic. You're looking at the helicopters flying into the commercial planes. You're looking at those landings that go what happened. Those are demons that are engaging in terror. And the propaganda that's why you have planes hovering behind this venue where there's no airport. And you don't find miles away from the airport to then be behind Lemon Avenue, right? That's what they're doing much more north at 355 West G Street. How are you getting all the way over there and there's still one more down here? These are the unintelligent and every gang stalking mayor, the gang stalking mayor program, which is what the sex offender Alan D. Wapner represents. Okay? He's a violent terrorist, and so are the people of the state. This is domestic terrorism in the United States. And this is a conspiracy to murder. And they have conspired against the person that is here to let you know about what demons are doing, what they look like, how they behave, and how they corrupt in the U.S., and also how to talk, how you legislate around that. And it's going to require the removal of Colorado. These demons that engage in witchcraft, and you're looking at how their illusions are showing that they're severely mentally sick and sexually perverted and absolutely unsafe and delusional. You think that anybody sees anything other than cars in this place. There's no airport open, not even close. To then be riding out with a unintelligent conduct of the entity, as unintelligent as keeping Starbucks, the venue where the fake sun throughout all of the country, the sun is remaining from before 7 a.m. till after 7 p.m. These are the things that are going to be prosecutable. I want to targeting Ocean, Patty, Elena, all those demons engaged in kidnapping with the Ontario police are going to federal prison. Okay? Remember, the fake sun is through this window at 7:15 in the morning. But while I'm at Economy Inn, where Delta Airlines, the city of Ontario, is targeting this morning, 7:15, way down there, is not visible through this window. L. Edwards of the Ontario Police is gang stalking, engaging in kidnapping with these demons who are unintelligent. Be careful who you engage in criminal activity with, because those idiots will get you in trouble. They're going to federal prison. They're going to federal prison, and this demon is monitoring right now while she's pacing while she's stalking in the path. That's Harley. She's a gang stalking sex offender monitoring my vagina while I remain here. And Kennedy is rising in front of us. What they relied on, what a psychological person not supposed to result in some sort of spiritual warfare, where they thought that they were going to sacrifice them, these have sacrificed themselves. The entity is engaging with sacrificing their liberty. They're going to federal prison. They're going to sacrifice their time to all of them. Prosecute them by neighborhood, community, city, county. This is P.O.C. You already know that engineer light killed Starbucks. They showed every day that they're sex offenders and that they're hostile to the constitutional rights. That's already sitting on the record. No one's forgetting that while Alan D. Wapner is maintaining criminal monitoring, donuts in the sky over the parking lot behind 434 EUCLID Avenue, behind the San Bernardino County Housing Authority, where there is no such claim to the national rights, nor is that going to be published on the website for the Ontario International Airport, nor is that going to be reconcilable with regard to the investigation about the operations of this corrupt department, about this corrupt airport that's engaging in what is surveillance. And you need to understand that criminal monitoring happens in the U.S., where they engage in acts of terror using commercial planes, just like you saw on 9/11. It is currently 8:55 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is where the entity is targeting, because this is where I'm at. All right? P.O.C. All righty, I'm capturing several takeoffs right here at
Euclid Avenue and E Street while I'm capturing that video. That's what you're listening to. And the people of the state are targeting, as you are aware, that it's not traffic. This is surveillance, and that's why the fake sun, for example, remains over Economy Inn. And you're looking at the 60 freeway. The 60 freeway is a means of massive surveillance, and it's the commission of an egregious sex offense, as you're aware of what the demon-possessed do and what they know while they do it and what they are conspiring to accomplish as they do that. This is revealing the public corruption that is obvious while the demons fly miles away from an airport to hover over this intersection and engineer light, which is pursuant to the pattern of conduct while I'm also publishing evidence on the video of the internet. This is exactly what the Ontario Police Department engaged in this morning while I'm publishing the evidence, the criminal act that is not mysterious to anybody observing the P.O.C. of Delta Airlines gang stalking me. And while I'm on the video of the internet, ongoing federal stalking occurs in the same manner. As I'm publishing it, the Ontario Police engage in stalking at the Ontario Town Square where the fake sun is still there after 6 p.m. where it was this morning at 9 in the morning. And where it's supposed to be at the Ontario Police Department at around the same time, 9:32 a.m. I captured that video at 9:37. There's no sun over the Ontario Police Department and over the Ontario Town Square. That's where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking. And who is still engaging in that pattern of conduct? The demons that have no spiritual authority. They have no spiritual weight. They have no sanity either. They've gone from engaging in gang stalking with the intent to conspire murder when they intended to sacrifice someone to sacrificing their freedom, because these gang stalkers are going to prison. PRISON, they're going to federal prison. And that is going to be how you're dealing with domestic terrorism in the United States. Since the city of Ontario has created such a grand template for how you must deal with this corruption that is committed in furtherance of murdering American citizens, those who want to practice witchcraft and sacrifice the lives of American citizens, you're not able to do that in secret anymore because you ended up targeting what is your own federal prosecutor. And now you're doing it before the world while they're watching me confirm over and over again what it is that I stated years ago about what these demons who are mentally ill, sex offenders, what they're doing, and what you do about what they're doing. That's all they're doing, providing ongoing corroboration, ongoing confirmation. The entity is going to be subject to what is necessary federal prison, not just for gang stalking police officers. That oxymoron is going to be dealt with federal prison as well. The entity is engaging in this while I'm uploading evidence onto the video of the internet. The entity is doing the same thing with helicopter activity at the Ontario Town Square, where the sun would be over the Ontario Police Department if the Ontario Police weren't a bunch of sex-offending gang members who practice witchcraft, who are demon-possessed, psychopaths. That's not hyperbole. It's based on what they've done, and I had the presence of mind to document it. It is currently 8:58 p.m. That same demon possession, that same criminal conduct is shared by the demons who are stalking in commercial planes, every single last one of them. This is P.O.C. Who is this? Are these the overly sensitive demons that are stalking by helicopter because I named them? Oh, it's another demon using smaller planes. It's the same P.O.C. I'll go ahead and capture pictures of that. The entity crossing path using a vehicle representing law enforcement, a white SUV that just says police on it. Those are the demons I've been documenting, both the state and federal law enforcement agencies gang stalking me for years. So the entity is engaged in the pattern of conduct. The entity is already surrounded by evidence. The entity is the one that's fearful of me. The entity is the one that's fearful and intimidated by my ability to prosecute them and expose and embarrass them. These are the demons whose witchcraft is impotent. Okay? These are the demons whose ongoing authority they realize they don't have any. And there are consequences in the physical and in the spiritual for what they sought to do. And the people of the state are also going to federal prison for it. Exhibit A are the demons that work at Starbucks engaging in kidnapping on July 5th, 2025. Excuse me, July 4th. Everything that these demons are doing, that the city of Ontario is doing, it's going right back to the acts of kidnapping that they committed, that they're always engaging in. And it's going to be federal prison. Let me capture another image. This is P.O.C. All right, just want to be clear, this is what the demons are engaging in while they have already, this is the denial, the delusion of the demons. This is supposed to be what causes the ordinary targeting, and that's what's going to be addressed with regard to federal law, because this is what the demons are typically doing. This is supposed to be some sort of attempt at mind control, at intimidation, at some sort of psychological warfare that's going to break you down to the extent, and then they're going to be able to overwhelm you and haunt you to the extent they're going to snatch your soul out of your body, and then they're going to get you in a corner and take your life, while they want to sit around and pace around like psychopaths, slobbering over my vagina. Okay, those are the demons that engage in having sex rituals, engaging in sex with children, while they're engaging in what is ongoing gang stalking, engaging in more and more and more of an obvious criminal act. It's speaking for what is an obvious and plain prosecution, and it's obvious mental illness as well. These are the demons who are going to regret being specifically identified by name. Okay, not only by company name, but by a government department, but by badge number, license plate, address, because they're already on the record. While they provide this evidence now, and they are delusional with regard to not accomplishing anything, this is what the practice of witchcraft consists of. They listen to Satan, their enemy, who is using them like an uncompensated prostitute, and Satan that is also laughing at them because they're going to pay the consequences, and Satan is not helping them. All right, that's why they're still gang stalking. Understand that Alan D. WAPNER, he's already out of office. He's already shown to be a sex offender obsessed with my vagina, and everybody knows that as a conclusive fact. That's not just rumor. You're gang stalking me, you're monitoring my vagina, and that's exactly what is going to be attributed to gang stalking. It's a sex offense, and they obsess over the genitalia. This is a Jezebel spirit that's stalking one person together in furtherance of seeking to murder somebody. None of that, none of those aspects of that crime are secret. And you always remember, with regard to Mike LORENZ, Alan D. WAPNER, Michael GERKEN, the entity that is gang stalking under the corrupt leadership, the dangerous terrorist acts of Paul Leon, you remember that they're monitoring my vagina. You remember that. Because the entity that's gang stalking and targeting at East Street and Euclid Avenue right now, flying on both sides of my person, gang stalking with some miscellaneous law enforcement vehicle, it's the same pattern of conduct. The Ontario police are still being disbanded. All right, the entity is engaging in gang stalking in Monrovia, California today. Where was the fake sign? It was at 215 East C Street at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The entity is keeping the fake sign at the same time a year ago in Monrovia, California, where it's present in the morning over my hotel room and in the evening over me still, where a whole bunch of sex offenders who are going to be removed from office, who are delusional and they're scared to lose their life because they were practicing death magic, they were practicing voodoo. They were trying to use witchcraft and gang stalking at the same time, and that's supposed to result in what is somebody being broken down until they are able to take the life of somebody and kidnap them. That's turning around. It's being returned to all of them, including the demons that are stalking in an obvious manner. The government that's gang stalking directly, like I'm documenting now, is the government that's gang stalking with the people of the state. Companies like ARCO and CHEVRON, Unicare Community Health Center, Starbucks, the entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct on the roads and the highways in California, while they're engaging in that, they are always incriminating themselves. And by the way, all of their witchcraft is going right back to them. And there is no prayer, there's no sex ritual, there is nothing that's going to change that. You cannot return to sender a return to sender. And you cannot engage in what is delusional conduct and think that it's anything other than your outward demonstration of mental illness. And there is nothing that's going to help the entity that's going to be prosecuted for what is very obvious criminal conduct. What are you doing engaging in flight over East Street and Euclid Avenue that is outside of the P.O.C. as it's established? All right, what airline, who was flying it, what time, what's your destination? Where are you taking off from? And where are you rising in elevation while you're hovering over this intersection with regard to taking off from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4? You're reconciling the elevation, the audible activity, the pattern of doing the same thing over places like Economy Inn, flying in the direction south and then making a U-turn, and flying over the Woodside Senior apartment such that it's interfering with quiet enjoyment inside of Tracy Banks' apartment. When they're flying right here, acting like they're taking off behind the Housing Authority off of Lemon Avenue. This is the entity that doesn't have any big picture. These are demons that are relying on, I want to be clear, the demon possessed do not have any level of intelligence. These are demonic spirits. They're engaging in what are acts of desperation. The impossible light activity is you're witnessing acts of desperation. The amplified audible activity, the presence of planes in the middle of the city of Ontario when you're supposed to be taken off from the airport, those are acts, documented acts of desperation in an unintelligent system, and they're demon possessed. That's why they're engaged in that unintelligent system. You cannot gang stalk me in any intelligent manner that makes it look like you're doing anything other than necessarily targeting. That's why you're miles away from the airport, and yet you're hovering in elevation. You're hovering. You're so close I can see the logo. You're so close that it's causing vibration and disruption of my quiet enjoyment inside of an apartment. When I'm inside of a hotel, what are you even doing hovering at that elevation, even though you know that it's amplification because they're demons? And you also know that because they're doing it under a fake sun, a whole demon-possessed population. These are the demons that are delusional, like I told you this morning. They are in denial. And they are, again, they've already lost with regard to the wager that the demon possessed, and that includes demons like Paul Leon, demons like Mike LORENZ, demons like Alex Escobar, demons like Tracy Banks that have engaged in taking oaths, making agreements with Satan that they cannot cash in on. And there is a consequence for it. And they're engaged in ongoing gang stalking, which is not going to serve them. Now what there is, they've already lost in that with Satan. They're going to answer for that. There's a spiritual consequence for that, and that's none of your business and none of my business between them and the one with whom they have made a gamble of their own lives. But I want to be clear. What they will serve the penalties for, which you're going to witness, it's relevant to that spiritual consequence, the wager, the contract that they made with Satan, sacrificing somebody that they were never going to accomplish sacrificing in the first place, which is myself, is that they're going to be prosecuted for it in federal court. It's going to translate into federal charges when you're recognizing the proof of what it's targeting as a government, a corrupt government with the people of the state. That's what's relevant with regard to the ongoing patrolling over this intersection amongst engineered light. There's a body of evidence already showing engineered light. There's a body of evidence of the entity stalking by helicopter every day and every night. The Ontario Police. The entity is engaging in a body of evidence maintaining a whole fake sun. These demons are so obsessed and they're so delusional. They're so accustomed with getting away with this unintelligent system. This is how you know that they murder people, because nobody's ever told them, you know, hey, this is a pretty obvious and stupid tactic to keep a sun over one building all day long. Nobody's ever stated that, because they murder them before they're able to say anything. You're going to be prosecuted for gang stalking with commercial planes, and you're going to federal prison for it. And the entity is going to federal prison for what is going to be a default term that is substantial because of what the Ontario Police Department, the City of Ontario, is engaging in, which is speaking to an ongoing obsessive endeavor to psychologically torture, harass, terrorize, and threaten, even while a federal prosecutor, I'm not the ordinary target individual, is documenting it. That's going toward how desperate they are to take the life of that American citizen. That's informing federal law. That's informing legislation. That's informing federal prison terms. That's what's relevant to that. And again, what is this exposing? This is exposing mental illness, the denial of those who are psychopathic. You're already a psychopath. You're already unwell while you're gang stalking. This is a demon-possessed population. Second of all, they are in denial. They've already lost in their contract. Their time to sacrifice me, that expired a long time ago. I'm still here. My mind state, my mental health is pristine. I'm prosecuting on a daily basis. I'm always breaking down for you what these demons are doing and what they know while they're doing it and how you're going to prosecute that and what justice requires with regard to the ordinary target individual that doesn't have the skill set in order to break down or even understand, nor should you have to, because the government has no right nor legitimate interest to do what it's doing. And it's doing it in this manner because they intend to criminally defame American citizens who cannot explain and who are supposed to appear as though they're paranoid schizophrenic. That's malice. You're going to prison for that as a gang stalking official. That's engaging in kidnapping. That's what the Ontario Police Department have committed with Starbucks. Right here, to my right, where the Ontario International Airport is providing ongoing evidence against them regarding what they were doing on July 4th and every other day where they're gang stalking at that venue, including right now. This is how delusional the demon-possessed are. One demon after another, pacing. ARCO, it's 434 North Euclid Avenue, ongoing sex offense committed by companies. They're sex offenders while the entity is stalking with impossible light by the sex offenders that are making purchases at their venues while that establishment is stalking. Remember, the specific environment follows me. I will prosecute your establishment by address. And that's relevant to what ARCO is doing throughout this country, by the way. They're monitoring American citizens, terrorizing them just like I'm documenting right now. And because of the malice of the demon-possessed, you're going to prosecute based on that malice. Since you think that you can stalk somebody in a manner and nobody can prove it, oh, not only is it proven, you're going to be prosecuted for that level of malice. And that equals prosecuting by establishment, by address. Since they stalk you with the whole demonic environment. Since they stalk you with the population of sex offenders. And they're doing so using commercial planes. Okay, it is currently 9:09 p.m. This is the evidence speaking to the mental illness, the demons that are in denial regarding what is no longer a secret. Not only is criminal monitoring the practice of demonic activity, understand that they have lost in their contract with Satan, and that is going to be public information as well. This is relevant to how severely they're going to be punished in the spirit, and that's relevant to how severely they're going to be punished in the physical, because you're going to witness a severe and comprehensive prosecution. These are demons who are in denial. They're scared to die. They're scared to lose all their money. They're scared for their careers to be ruined. They're scared for their reputation to be lost, and it's already done. It's already done. And clearly, as they're still gang stalking, this is the witness. You're witnessing mental illness because they're in denial. You're not accomplishing anything about the person that has a wealth of a body of evidence extending years back while you're clearly engaged in that P.O.C. All right, ongoing targeting with planes hovering over the palm trees at the Meridian, Euclid and E Street. This is P.O.C. All right, and the entity is engaging in the P.O.C. while they are triggered by the evidence that they're keeping under surveillance, okay? And this is what they're doing regarding my vagina. Delta Airlines, Southwest Airlines, American Airlines, United Airlines, FedEx, UPS, Amazon Prime. By the way, a body of evidence with regard to every company that I just documented, that I just stated. showing you in different places at different times the maintenance of the fake sun that's speaking at all times of the day, engineer light, which is present also at nightfall. The entity's doing so throughout, even outside of the city of Ontario. That's how I have the Southwest Airlines gang stalking me at Planet Fitness at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Los Angeles. Where the entity's keeping the fake sun in August of 2025 right here in Ontario. Where the Ontario Police and Alan D. WAPNER gang stalking under a fake sun, very unintelligently, at one address all day long. And that's going to be used to prosecute companies, not just Southwest Airlines, but companies that are targeting in the highly unintelligent manner that these demons are by flying over this intersection now, because their mental illness supersedes their ability to control themselves. They're triggered by what they engaged in. They're scared to death. They are scared to death. And you know why that's a national security threat? Because the mentally ill, the psychopaths that are demon-possessed, that are gang stalking, they commit more acts of violence out of fear. They engage in more acts of sexual violence because they're scared, even when they know the consequence. And they know the consequence because, they have an idea about the consequence, because I have not articulated every detail. But what I have spoken of and what justice requires is bad enough, and you're witnessing mental illness while the demon-possessed continuously engage in targeting. The demon-possessed engage in more of their mental illness, more and more pacing conduct, more and more amplification, more and more light activity. That's what the demons of the city of Ontario are engaging in by hovering over the housing authority using commercial planes. I'm going to capture another video right now. This is where the entity is rising in elevation. That's no takeoff from the airport, 2500 Airport Drive. All right, ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue is stalking. So is Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue. These establishments are stalking in the path, while the entity is maintaining ongoing plane activity while I'm documenting. And everything that I'm stating, they're keeping under surveillance, and the demon-possessed who are mentally ill engage in more of their demonic behavior. This is the outward demonstration of demon possession. And it's also the physical evidence of targeting by a corrupt airport that's engaging in state surveillance, okay? The entities engaging in this P.O.C. with regard to stalking with light, that's what that sex offender just committed right now. They're doing so while they're stalking on behalf of the government. This is surrounding by the people of the state. That's while the entities maintaining aerial surveillance, hovering, and then engaging in donor, whereas opposed that they were flying right here over this intersection. The entities engaging in ongoing targeting because you're never maintaining any flights, arrivals, nor departures from the airport flying over here. This is crossing paths, stalking in the sky space. This is Alan D. WAPNER's criminal conduct. Conspiring to murder an American citizen who you are targeting as a domestic terrorist leader, and doing more of it as I document. 434 North Euclid Avenue is ARCO, 506 North Euclid Avenue is Chevron, 506 North Euclid Avenue is Starbucks. This is the entity that's gang stalking with these companies that are well known, but it's not just them. The entire entity, and it's not limited to business hours, and the Ontario International Airport is at the forefront of the means of terrorism in the city of Ontario. All right, in the state of California. This is P.O.C. The entity is engaging in that while they are clearly deviating. That's the evidence of targeting by an airport. The entity is stalking you by commercial planes and helicopters to threaten your life and psychologically torture you, because you're not capable of, or you're not typically capable of proving it, the ordinary targeted individual that is. We've already sailed. That boat has sailed and it blew up in the middle of the river. The entity is targeting, and the entity is going to be prosecuted for this unprecedented means of targeting. This is P.O.C. And I want to be clear, this is criminal conduct of the Ontario Police Department. This is the entity that's disbanding itself. This is the entity that's putting its own gang stalking cops in federal prison where sex offenders belong. That's where they belong. And that's where they're going, because the Ontario Police is the same entity, and they're stalking right now while demons are stalking by filling up their gas tanks at ARCO, pacing all around the street. These are demons who are stalking with, like, these are sex offenders. And they go in a frenzy just like this when my vagina is exposed in the bathroom. They're stalkers. These are the mentally ill that have made a contract with Satan that they cannot cash in on, and you're witnessing them come apart. This is a crash out by these demons who go in a frenzy and are more triggered as I speak to and tell you all their secrets, and I embarrass them by prosecuting them on the internet. It is currently, again, 9:14 p.m. This is P.O.C. Here you go, another one. You're paying attention to the frequency. You're going to pay attention to what's published on the Ontario International website. This is the prosecution of a bunch of demons who are surrounded with evidence. And this is the embarrassment of Satan. That's mental illness. You're going to prosecute for that. You're going to legislate around that mental illness. That's a national security threat. Okay? This is the pattern of conduct. It's currently 9:14 p.m. Doing donuts in the sky, flying over the intersection, all manner of targeting. This is P.O.C. Light activity, relevant positioning, audible activity. The demon possessed that are gang stalking. Alrighty, it is currently again 9:15 p.m. This is going to be, it's relevant to the corrupt acts of the Ontario International Airport, what they publish versus what they're engaging in, the operations of that airport, and also what they know, what they're keeping under surveillance while they continuously engage in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing it with all of the city of Ontario.
All of the corrupt leaders are being removed. The entity is going to federal prison for committing kidnapping. The people of the state are going to federal prison as well for kidnapping with this entity that's targeting. And the federal RICO case against the corrupt businesses. This is public corruption that every business is sharing in. Pay attention to the frequency. As I document, you're paying attention to all that. I'm teaching you to pay attention to what the demon-possessed do. And I'm also teaching you to look at how much of a coward that Satan is. Satan is very weak. Satan is very timid. And that is shown through the ongoing stalking with light, stalking by relevant positioning, one plane after another, after another, after another. The ongoing heightened frequency is relevant to how triggered and fearful they are as I speak the truth and tell you about that. But that's going to translate into an unlawful threat while you're gang stalking. But I want to let you know it's because these demons are scared. It's currently 9:16 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, you're listening to me capture video. That's substantial video. And this is relevant to the unlawful threat. This is what an entity is doing on an ongoing basis, and it's prosecuting the Ontario Police Department. Okay? The entity is engaging in conduct as an entity and doing so while they are keeping the evidence under surveillance, and they're doing it to their own demise. This is what gang stalking families are engaging in the city of Ontario and the state of California. This is what gang stalking businesses are engaging in while they're targeting in the state of California. This is what gang stalking government bodies at every level are engaging in while you're looking at an aspect of the P.O.C. The Ontario International Airport is only one mode of surveillance, and it's a substantial mode because the entity, that's the city of Ontario, the government, that's also acting with corrupt companies, the corrupt companies that are representing airlines that the entity is using to engage in domestic terrorism. Psychological torture is documented while you document somebody that's harassing you and stalking you, as it's already proven, and then they engage in more of that and more and more and more of it. I'm going to prosecute the entity for ongoing psychological torture. It's also going to be used to diagnose the entity that's going to produce its ID, who you are, because this is certifiable conduct. The entity is going to be subject to what are mental asylums and prison, as clearly as it's already proven. This is the entity that's putting itself, this is part of the judgment. Understand that this is the return to sender. And this is what you get when you practice witchcraft. This is what you get. You're witnessing the entity that is losing. They were never going to win in the first place. And you do not win when you walk with Satan. You don't win. You cannot win. Satan is a loser. Satan is a loser that thinks that bullying is going to create the illusion of being a winner. And you're witnessing the city of Ontario, the demon-possessed, that are a substantial example. They are a huge example. They are the quintessence of what losing looks like. The state of California, a bunch of demons that never wanted to be exposed as a population. They don't want you to know that they're sex offenders, that they're predators. They don't want you to know that they practice pedophilia with regard to trying to garner sexual authority. Following Satan has made them sex offenders. That's all it is. They've made them sex offenders. And when they engage in this weird, sexually perverted, demented conduct, it makes you more and more less sane. You lose your mind. You become psychopathic. Your conscience is seared. And you become more and more accustomed to sexual activity that's perverted, that's abnormal, that's unhealthy, that's dysfunctional. The making of psychopaths. The making of sex offenders. And they associate that based on the deception of Satan that makes them, that follow him, Satan, weirdos and creepers and stalkers. Satan makes murderers, Satan makes stalkers, Satan makes psychopaths. And guess what? That demented and perturbed population works for the city of Ontario, the police department. It's at the head of the Ontario Airport Authority. They're flying these commercial planes with logos and company names that you are very much familiar with. You're also seeing them on the news when it's being described to you, these companies that are involved in accidents, tragic accidents. You're looking at them gang stalking in Ontario. You're looking at them gang stalking me throughout the state of California, in other cities and counties. These are not accidents. And I want to be clear, this is what walking with Satan creates. And it's nothing cute, it's nothing cool, and it's also nothing victorious. These demons are mentally ill, and while they listen to the truth that I speak, they engage in more conduct that they're going to be prosecuted for, and they cannot even control it. They cannot control themselves. They can control it. You can decide not to, and you're going to be prosecuted for that. Because it's not as though they're not able to act with volition, but their impulse is so strong that those demons inside of their vessels are so strong, they are triggered and they automatically react. And it's going to be, I'm not just calling out what are spiritual violations against somebody that you never should have came. This is criminal activity. I'm going to prosecute them. That's how far they've gone in their wickedness. Walking with Satan has gotten them a federal prosecution of epic proportions. Terrorism in the United States. Domestic terrorism, homegrown terrorists. And of those that are domestic terrorists, that are immigrants, those are going to be deported. It's going to do wonders for the economy. It's going to do wonders for the job market.
These demons that are in positions of authority that are disingenuous, they don't even have any intention. They keep themselves employed by maintaining ongoing debt. You know why a lot of the debt is present? The city of Ontario is showing, you know how much money is wasted by these companies that are engaging in gang stalking, using planes and helicopters, the operation of a company, a whole devotion of a workforce that's getting paid a salary because you're not supposed to know that they're engaged in nothing other than stalking one person, using the resources of that company, of that government. But they're engaging in what is maintaining this pattern of conduct while the system of public corruption is coexisting with that. There's so much money that will be found upon deporting immigrants, because every single last one of them in California are gang stalkers. With that same level of impunity that this city is exhibiting while planes are targeting me here, so is the same level of impunity for gang stalking immigrants. They share in that. They're the demon-possessed. It's identical. They're molesting with impossible light. The same impunity by gang stalking immigrants. It's identical. Ship them out of this country. You will find money. You will create more jobs because there will be vacancies. People that are not even worthy to be in this country, ship them out. They are demonstrating to you as an entity. Within that entity is the gang stalking immigrants. Ship them out of this country. I don't care what the level of education is. I don't care if they served in the military. I don't care if they're currently in the government. Especially if they're in the government. I don't care if they are some sort of job creator. They own a business. That's not a right. That doesn't create a privilege to be in this country as a domestic terrorist, and you're going to be subject to deportation. No discrimination there. Gang stalking fire chiefs that are of the immigrant population, deportation. Gang stalking police chiefs that are of the immigrant population, deportation. Gang stalking, gang stalking third party and state actors. Whatever your position is in life, however it is, in other words, that you're targeting, subject to deportation across the board. You're not going to be protected because you were the police chief or the fire chief for 17 years. Get ready to pack your bags. Get ready. Deportation, you're not welcome in this country. You're not welcome. The entity's engaging in this pattern of conduct, and you will find money. It will bring in, it's a built-in resolution with regard to this corrupt system that L&D WAPNER is showing you how to resolve it. Remove demons like him. Remove corrupt companies that are foreign-based. You want to be in this country doing business with California, with the United States, but you want to terrorize it. This is how you're uprooting it. It's not welcome in this country. You're not welcoming dirty, filthy money in this country. You're not going to lose out. You're going to gain with that. You're going to gain with that. This is filthy money that brings curse with it. There's curses on this money that they exchange with these corrupt businesses that are in this country targeting American citizens, and they derive pleasure from it. The United States government welcomes it. They take money from any and everybody. No ethical standards, no principles, no morals. Total disloyalty to the American flag, to the United States, to the Constitution, to American citizens. There is a built-in resolution here, and it's not going to result in what is a loss. It's going to result in what is a gain. With regard to demons that can be easily dealt with, so many of them can be shipped out of this country. They can be replaced. You don't need them. That's a lie out of the pit of hell. You don't need them. They're replaceable. Every single last one of them are replaceable. It is currently 9:23 p.m., and this is what L&D WAPNER is proving. And every other corrupt, who's replaceable? L&D WAPNER, he's replaceable. Paul Leon is replaceable. Every demon sitting on that Ontario City Hall, replaceable. The demons, Michael GERKEN, replaceable. Mike LORENZ, absolutely replaceable. And every gang stalking demon that's working for the Ontario Police, I've already got them on the record. They're going to federal prison, replaceable. You're going to disband the Ontario Police Department, replaceable. It is absurd to think that you have to live with this level of corruption, and that there's some sort of inherent loss, and we have to know you do not. That's a lie out of the pit of hell. These people are not needed. They've made themselves seem as though they're a necessity to keep a job, and it's based on corruption. That's not the answer, and they're not needed. They are absolutely replaceable. Absolutely. The people that are competent, the people that do have ethical standards, the people that would never engage in this, those are the ones that are being oppressed. Those are the ones, by the way, that are actually competent, though. Those are the ones that will do the job and far and beyond. Those are the ones that are gifted. Those are the ones that are being tortured and targeted, though. These demons are not needed. They're not necessary. Ship them out. Okay, that's resolution number one. You will find money. This corrupt system is the reason for the indebtedness. That's the reason why. The resolution lies in shipping them out of this country. You're not welcome, and there is no basis of removal. I don't care what your status is. I don't care what you think you contributed to this country. You don't have a right to be here. And when you're engaging in gang stalking, guess what? You have met the contractual basis for revocation of citizenship. You're not staying here. You're going to be deported. No sex offending, gang stalking immigrant is welcome in this country. And you have some deluded idea that you belong here, and no, you don't. You do not belong here. It is currently 9:25 p.m., and that is all relevant to the entity that's targeting at E Street and Euclid Avenue. Fools. Fools. And this is why they've sacrificed their own lives. People that are going to drop dead. Do you know why? Because they've been playing in witchcraft. They've been summoning demonic spirits, trying to murder an innocent person. That's what I represent, the entity that's targeting me for no reason whatsoever. But I want to be clear. As far as Christ Jesus is concerned, the only righteous judge, no human being has a right to take anybody else's life for whatever reason you think is justified. It doesn't exist in Scripture. But it is more egregious to know they target those that they think they'll get away with. Well, they isolate you. They isolate you, then they gang stalk you. And that's supposed to create some sort of means whereby they're controlling your mind. This is a whole illusion. They look like clowns. This is ridiculous to me. They are so wound up in prosecution and the documentation. I've already prosecuted them. It's already complete. So I'm looking at these demons doing donuts. I'm looking at them targeting over here. They're going to regret it tomorrow. These demons are mentally ill. They are intellectually inept. All of them together inferior. And this is because of the condition. Now, all I'm speaking to are policies in order to surround the intellectually inept that go around murdering people as a society. It's a whole government system, and it's not a conspiracy. It is the proof of the P.O.C, and it's the basis of a prosecution. And gang stalking immigrants, they are one of the first ways to resolve this issue. You will find money. That's one of the ways in which, and I mean from every area, not just the ones in the ghetto. Okay, the entities gang stalking, gang stalking immigrants are in government. Gang stalking immigrants are in the business sector. They're engaging in what is the pattern of conduct, and it is the basis to deport them. You don't have any basis of belonging. And that is, I want to be clear, and that's going to create what is the ongoing respect for the federal and state laws. Because if you think that you're going to get away with staying in this country, getting away with violating American citizens because you have a certain level of accomplishment, meaning you're some government official versus somebody that's accepting welfare and they're an immigrant and you get to stay and the other one doesn't, you're delusional, because that's not what's going to happen. All right? You're delusional. That's not what's going to happen. The entity is gang stalking, license stalking on the roads and the highways, license 8XSP039 and 7, I can't really see that license plate, but 8XSP039, gang stalking at the intersection E Street and Euclid, where they're flying over this intersection. These demons are stalking as a population. They're not going anywhere. They're maintaining surveillance as a population of stalkers. Mentally ill, you're going to do this country a favor by shipping them out of here, shipping out a whole immigrant population of mentally ill criminals who commit murder as an entity, who conspire murder as an entity. All right, and it's currently 9:28 p.m. That is all relevant to what I just documented on video. I'm going to upload it on video. It's not just in a vacuum, though, which you already know that. Okay, but this is relevant to policy when I'm going into deportation. This hot topic that's going on right now in California, in the U.S. And guess what? It is a key solution to what's wrong in California, a key solution. You will find money when you deport the gang stalking, and I mean the entire population of immigrants in California are engaging in this criminal system. Ship every single last one of them out. Every single last one of them. Whatever position that they have, and this is what I mean, there's no seniority, there's no exception. They're conspiring as an entity. This is what the entire city of Ontario is engaging in. This is what the Ontario International Airport is showing you. This is what Alan D. WAPNER represents. Anybody in that office, at any level of government, gang stalking immigrants, guess what? You're not welcome in this country, and you are at risk for deportation. And with regard to my enforcement of federal policy, there's no contingency. You shall be deported. It is currently 9:29 p.m. This is P.O.C. This is relevant to the bigger picture regarding what I'm documenting, because we have far surpassed what is proof of a government stalking me, which is proof of surveillance in this country and targeting amongst an ongoing surveillance system that the government in the United States never told us we were subject to. Okay, and it's mandating, also it's necessitating that there are very key laws that are going to change, that shall change based on what the government is doing and what the government has done to me and what the government is foolishly doing. These are imbeciles. They literally are imbeciles. And it's showing you what doesn't pay. It does not pay to walk with Satan, to serve Satan. You're not even walking. You're a snake. Okay, you're a cockroach when you are serving Satan. Okay, this is showing how much of a loser you are when you are a part of that kingdom of darkness, a bunch of cowards, a bunch of fools that don't have any legal strategy, that don't have any productive future, and who are going to, again, they act now with regard to knee-jerk reactions, with regard to some sort of delusional perspective regarding their so-called ego. Their ego's not going to help them when they're locked up in prison. Their ego's not going to help them with those civil damages. Their ego's not going to help them with being deported out of this country. Their ego's not going to help them with regard to being removed from office, and it's a matter of public information as to why. Their ego's not going to help them. This is the entity that's engaged in this obvious level of criminal conduct, and this is a public service announcement. It does not serve to, it does not work, it does not end well to serve Satan, rather. It does not end well. And this is what the massive practice of witchcraft, this is what a government, a population is sharing together, sacrificing an American citizen, and this is what they engage in routinely, regularly. They've been doing it for years, for decades. So they had tried to sacrifice myself, somebody that cannot be sacrificed. And now all you're witnessing is ongoing delusional conduct. Not only delusional because it's not helping, that's not going to slow down the sacrifice. They've sacrificed themselves. When they try to conspire against another American citizen, remember, gang stalking is demonic activity. It's also criminal conduct proven through tangible evidence. It's criminal conduct. It is absolutely stalking and surveillance. But it's demonic activity. These demons are engaged in all manner of witchcraft while they're pacing around in engineer light under a fake sun. That's demonic. All of that is demonic. The amplified all of that's demonic. So they're practicing witchcraft on an ongoing basis. But I want to be clear, in the background, they're also witches. They engage in sex rituals. They engage in pedophilia. They engage in voyeurism. They engage in all manner of things like bathroom monitoring. That's sexual violence. That's the voyeuristic pattern of conduct. They engage in all manner of psychological torture, spiritual warfare, spiritually attacking your mind. And that is supposed to result in taking over the ordinary targeted individual, taking over their life, falsely depicting their character so that they can kidnap you, so that they can ultimately take your life. This is what the entity conspired against me while they wanted to steal my money. And why are they gang stalking? Because they stole from me already, and they thought that they were going to, quote unquote, distract with gang stalking. First of all, you're going to federal prison for stealing any of my property. And second of all, this is not a distraction. This is the groundwork for exposing what the U.S. government is doing throughout this country. This is what's happened to me and what I'm proving and what I'm walking through and surviving and not being a victim of. I'm screaming it from the mountaintops what the government is doing. And by the way, this is providence. This is the Lord God Almighty at work. This is why I have the legal skill set that I have. This is why I have the background and the education that I have and the experience that I have, because it was always God's plan for this to come out, for this to be exposed. They were never going to sacrifice me. The demon-possessed, the kingdom of darkness, these demons who are going to, they have sacrificed themselves. They sacrifice themselves. This is literally suicide. They've committed suicide of their own lives, their own well-being. And some of them, their own physical lives, based on the wicked things that they've done. And it's between them and Satan. They know what they did. They know what they've summoned up. And it's between them and those demons that they summon. The Lord God is on the throne. And you're not going to take out his servant. It's not going to happen. They sacrifice themselves. While they called themselves setting me up, it turns out who is actually setting up who. This is the entity, but I want to be clear. Big picture is that this entity, this government, this population has stolen from me. Because this is what they do to people. They stole my money, they stole my property, and then the resolution, oh, we'll just gang stalk. This is what Alan D. WAPNER is engaging in. This is what Delta Airlines, did you get down the company names? They know exactly who I am, and they're targeting me for a very specific purpose. They have a very specific agenda and objective. They were trying to take me out because these demons have already stolen from me, and gang stalking was supposed to get rid of me so that it would never be exposed. Not only is that not going to work, I'm going to prosecute you for the unprecedented exposure for terrorism in the United States. What the government is doing to American citizens. And this is by design. This is God's will. This was his plan from the beginning, where you first seek to harm a child of God. An innocent person, as far as the government is concerned. as far as anyone is concerned, because God is the only one who's on the throne. He's the only one that has a right to judge. Nobody has a right to take any other person's life because you feel, and this is what they do. If they're a bad enough person, then we'll target them because their witchcraft will be effective against that person. Their spell work, their voodoo, their sex rituals, and everything that they're doing in the spirit is effective against that person. That doesn't work against somebody that is sealed with the Holy Spirit. Whether you think that person is guilty or not, your opinion is irrelevant. And by the way, your mindset is skewed. You're not even sane as you're a demon-possessed stalker, a sex offender. These are the demons that are a whole other altered universe. And I have pierced through it. I've removed the veil so that you can see their illusions. Their illusions is going to be used to prosecute and also diagnose their mental illness because it's going down to very specific people. As a whole government body and a population is going to be prosecuted. California is going on the map. And this is going to change laws, federal and state. Federal and state laws because the state of California is engaging in targeting American citizens. They have ruined it for everybody in the state of California. And I don't have to go to every single city and county in the state of California to prove that the entire state of California is engaged in criminal surveillance and targeting as an American citizen. That's how the fake sun's remaining over me in Monrovia, California on this day in 2024, in the same manner that it is in 2025 all day long at the OVITT Family Community Library. On one street. One street. This is the entity that's engaging in that. So I just want to be clear. This is directly relevant. All of the policies that I'm going through, while I'm letting you know what are the implications of the city of Ontario stalking with commercial planes, as you get into a federal policy dealing with deportation of gang stalkers in the city of Ontario, in the state of California, it's all directly relevant. Because you're going to hop from prosecution to legislation to policies that are going to disincentivize the people of the state. When they realize that they have a lot to lose, like their citizenship, like their liberty, like their business, like their reputation, then they will think twice about it. Because you're not able to gang stalk anymore anywhere in this country and be maintained as a secret. And now the entity is going to learn all that you're going to suffer. And they will think twice, especially with regard to these egos that you're going to shatter by embarrassing them. You're going to humiliate them for monitoring the genitalia of American citizens as a whole population, as a government, as a business, as a family unit, monitoring genitalia together. Because this is what they're doing. The entity is engaging in this, and I just want to be clear, the entity is engaging in the ongoing pattern of conduct, and they are delusional in doing so. The prosecution is already complete. The case is complete. The federal government are sitting around watching me embarrass the state stalking me. The federal government knows that they're targeting me. All right, so I just want to be clear. This is what the entity is doing, and they're doing it to their own demise, just like I stated. This is underscoring all of the policies that I have already created and published and shared with regard to how you are prosecuting every malicious tactic of a targeting entity that's practicing satanic means of what is keeping an American citizen under surveillance. The satanic means are relevant to what is exposing malice, targeting someone in a manner that's supposed to be so clever. It's supposed to be so genius that no one sees it. That's how capable and they're not. You're seeing they're a bunch of idiots. They're imbeciles. They're ignoramuses under a fake sun that sits over a building for 12 hours. What type of genius is that? A fifth grader can see that they're gang stalking as you teach them about this in political science class, as you teach them about this in history. The clear study of federal group stalking and monitoring. It's not rocket science. They're idiots. But what do the demon-possessed tell themselves? Oh, that they are the best of the best and nobody can see them. One person prosecuted them. In Jesus' name, I prosecuted them. One person. Millions of them targeting me. One person. That's how genius they are. That's how genius they are to continuously engage in one obvious criminal act over and over and over and over and over again because they don't have any other strategy. That's how genius they are. These are the intellectually impotent. These are the spiritually lost. These are the ones that have sacrificed themselves. And it includes government actors that are obsessed with my vagina. And they're going to be removed from office for it. Mike LORENZ, Alan D. WAPNER, Paul Leon, Michael GERKEN. The City of Ontario, the Fire Department, the City of Ontario Police Department, the City of Ontario International Airport, the City of Ontario, the population, the people of the state that are engaging in it, okay? It is currently 9:39 p.m. The entity is maintaining ongoing plane activity from behind what is the Housing Authority. That's on Lemon Avenue. There's no planes taking off from behind Lemon Avenue, just like there's no planes taking off where 325 West G Street is, which is north of this location. There are no planes taking off over Economy Inn at 2301 South Euclid Avenue on the sidewalk, let alone where you're engaging what is just coming out of the blue, hovering over, flying over my head while I'm walking on the side. It doesn't get any more clear with regard to the targeting tactics of a corrupt airport where the federal government is watching, with impunity, watching a state government, a local government target an American citizen in furtherance of kidnapping and murder. And this is the same government that conspired my murder, already engaged in attempted murder as an entity, is engaging in a perpetual sex offense, engaged in sex trafficking as an entity, and also is engaged in what is the impunity relevant to the prosecution of this entity. That's what's relevant, because they know that the gang stalking police officers that are on the record, they see the criminal system that they're engaging in while the entity is targeting right here at this intersection using commercial planes. They are aware. These are the demons are the only ones that are stuck on me, triggered by what it is that I'm speaking, and you wouldn't be triggered if you weren't stalking. You wouldn't be triggered if you weren't mentally sick. If you didn't have all those demons on you, which is resulting in what is abnormal and demented behavioral issues, you wouldn't be so triggered. You wouldn't be engaging, in other words, in documented criminal conduct that not only am I keeping tabs on, but the federal government is. And there's no question about the fact that I single-handedly exposed the United States government for stalking in the state of California, surveillance in the state of California, public corruption with the people of the state of California. I did that by myself. None of these demons help me. None of them. And you know what they're engaging in? They're doing so, and it's relevant to prosecuting every aspect of the city of Ontario. The population, including the immigrant population in the city of Ontario, the state of California. And that's what's relevant with regard to the entity that knows exactly who I am and has conspired to steal property from me. And this is what is incentivizing a bunch of strangers who are obsessed with my vagina and who are engaged in what are doing things such as stalking me where I'm located, everywhere that I live, everywhere that I travel, everywhere that I remain. And it's also proven while they do things like stalk under a fake sun. This is literally going to be the information that, again, 4th and 5th graders are going to study with regard to identifying criminal conduct, domestic terrorism in the United States, which is no longer a conspiracy theory that's unsupported with evidence by people who only have bits and pieces, and people also that are intentionally deceiving the masses, not telling you what gang stalking actually is. That's also deliberate. That's also deliberate. All right, but this is a study for what is also recognizing the very obvious criminal pattern of conduct, which only the mentally ill are engaging in. Okay, so I just want to make sure that that's clear. I'm capturing substantial documentation which is relevant to prosecuting the entire government in the city of Ontario. All right, the entire population, the people of the state that are gang stalking in the city of Ontario. And it is literally shown through what is stalking through the Ontario International Airport in concert with the people of the state. The government's never acting directly by itself. The businesses are targeting and the people of the state are targeting. And by the way, I also have documentation at these venues that I'm surrounded by now of the entity keeping the fake sun over me for the duration of the day. They are engaging in the P.O.C. while the entity is engaging in what is stalking using commercial planes. And these are those that are not capable. They are not intelligent. They are not elite. They are not sophisticated. They're not even bright enough to be able to find some other way to where they're not so invisible after all. They're a bunch of sex offenders and pedophiles. They're just a bunch of homosexual, demon-possessed stalkers. They're psychopaths that want you to think that they are Christians, that they're pious people. They're not. They're a bunch of demons, and they've spread the spirit of Satan all over. This is how you have the average household in Ontario stalking. Stalking. They're all stalking. Psychopathic disorder amongst a population. Not exaggerating. Not exaggerating. Okay, that's P.O.C. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct and is doing so. It's 9:43 p.m. And this is relevant to the entity that was supposed to be driving the target individual crazy. The entity has driven itself crazy by gang stalking somebody that they were never going to sacrifice in the first place. And that is proven through the specific environment and the ongoing frenzied conduct of taking off behind the housing authority off of Lemon Avenue, where there is no investigation by the federal government that's going to show anything other than targeting me in conformity to the pattern of conduct, like I've shown in every other city and state, in the specific environment, also present during the day under the fake sun. This is P.O.C. The Ontario International Airport publishes ongoing arrivals and departures from that airport, and the two terminals at 2500 Airport Drive and 2900 Airport Drive, and what the entity is doing at East Street and Euclid Avenue, the latitude and longitude, what is all entailed in taking off in commercial planes from those terminals, the direction that they fly in, the elevation that they are maintaining. There is a very specific process and training involved in taking off and flights, what pilots are doing when they're flying. The entity, there's no mystery here. These are the demons that are so mentally ill, they are not able to control themselves while they're engaged in criminal activity, which I'm going to prosecute them for as well. Okay, so that's what's relevant to the demon possessed. Serving Satan doesn't not pay well. It doesn't pay well. It's not ending well for the demon possessed gang stalkers who tried to sacrifice me, Erica Spencer, and they failed in that. And they did it because they wanted to steal property from me that they're also not getting. But while the entity conspired to steal my property and conspired against my life, understand that the entity is engaging in what is evidence of targeting me and why they were targeting. And now you know through the P.O.C. how they are targeting, and they represent a very specific population. They are demon possessed. They are also mentally ill because that demon possession affects the behavioral health and it's a national security threat, while the behavioral health is directly affected, manifested through the criminal conduct of gang stalkers. All right, it's 9:45 p.m. This is the P.O.C. This is documentation of the entity that's gang stalking in conformity to a pattern of conduct. Federal stalking is underway on the roads and highways in California. This is federal stalking. They're engaging in surveillance while they're driving on the roads and the highways. Massive surveillance, massive malice by psychopaths who thought that they were cloaked in anonymity. These demons think that they are going around as strangers that nobody knows. The federal government's looking directly at them and knows who they are as well, and is watching me document them, watching me embarrass and expose them, and watching these demons target. And you're watching them target. There's no mystery here. So what they sought to do mysteriously, what they sought to do in some capable manner, an invisible manner, I'm doing my magic, nobody see. You're all witnessing them obviously stalking, like I stated was the case years ago. Now they're doing it in plain sight. They're doing it with the light shining on them. There is no darkness here. You're looking at them engaging in black and white gang stalking. The government. The government. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:46 p.m. This is Euclid Avenue and E Street. Okay, the entity is engaging in federal stalking on the video of the internet. And while the entity, let me be clear, while the Ontario police are gang stalking, the rest of the city of Ontario is gang stalking. While the Ontario Police Department are nowhere to be found. Okay, I haven't seen one vehicle. Haven't seen them out of sight, right? Not out of mind. That is not the case. This is an entity that's targeting together. And while these baboons engage in criminal conduct as an entity, guess who's being disbanded? I will wait, because I've said it so many times. What's happening to gang stalking police officers? They're going to federal prison. All right. The entity is gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department while the Ontario International Airport is targeting me where I'm located throughout the city of Ontario. And in addition to that, I have a body of evidence proving that the Ontario Police Department is in fact stalking and keeping me under surveillance and repeatedly kidnapping and doing so. They are being disbanded. And this is why you are very careful. This is why you shouldn't be engaged in criminal activity in the first place. But if you do, you should be very careful who you undertake that ongoing cooperation with, because if you have a fool for a co-defendant and a co-conspirator, you're going down with them in the same manner. Whatever they commit, you commit. And that's inherent to the pattern of conduct that's committed as a public entity. And that same malice is now going to be used to disband the Ontario Police Department and any other gang stalking entity like the City of Ontario. Their own foolishness has served for their own demise. And that's a return to sender. It's currently 9:48. All right, license plate, gang stalking at Starbucks, 9SNX663. They've been engaged in the ongoing perpetual sex offense, molesting my person while demons are pacing on and off of the property of ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue, while the Ontario International Airport is concentrating plane activity at that same intersection, with the demons gang stalking at Chevron, and also Chevron and ARCO are engaging as an establishment of corrupt business. They're engaging in sexual violence. You're going to prosecute companies for engaging in sexual violence. You're going to prosecute the companies for engaging in domestic terrorism. You're going to prosecute the companies for engaging in war tactics, psychological torture under the guise of maintaining a corrupt business. And that's relevant to what is the RICO case. The entity that's gang stalking in concert with corrupt businesses, they're going to be prosecuted for the literal pattern of conduct, because that's what they are engaging in, while the entity uses that venue as a means of light activity for relevant positioning while you're benefiting. The demons are making purchases from you while simultaneously elements of monitoring are underway, and the entity is gang stalking like the City of Ontario is at that venue. That's the prosecution of the entity. A license 6LHT591 is stalking. Let me go ahead and capture images of the Ontario International Airport. This is I want you to hear that audible activity. That's amplification. And this is what 6LHT591, 9SNX663, 7DXG120. They're all engaged in federal stalking as well. Remember that. The entities engaged in this pattern of conduct while they are engaging in the P.O.C. with the intent to obstruct justice. So this is inspiring what is the very foolish criminal conduct of a gang stalking airport. That's a gang stalking government body. While they are engaging in monitoring the evidence, which is also an unlawful interference of a federal case, which again, the fools who are mentally ill are engaging in that. License 6BMH986-84954G2. They're engaging in surveillance while I'm maintaining presence over here at the Starbucks. Traffic is stalking by the people. 8PAW414. 5MVB232. And they're stalking while the entity is monitoring on the video of the internet. So as I start uploading also, this is relevant to federal stalking. And the entity is more obsessed. They're not successful in any sort of sacrifice to Satan. So they've already lost, and they've also lost the federal case in federal court. The government has lost the federal case. The first ever to be brought in the government has very severely lost it. The entity is engaging in gang stalking while nonetheless, but that is through the maintenance of plane activity. This is the demon that's crossing path over the sky space, and doing so with simultaneity to my use of internet. That's federal stalking conduct, ongoing surveillance, engaging in the elements of monitoring, as are the people of the state, and so are businesses including Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue, Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity is maintaining the elements of monitoring together as one. And you've witnessed this same thing literally at this same intersection all day long, where Starbucks has the fake sun over me all day, from morning until the evening. Okay, this is the entity that is engaging in that, and they're doing it pursuant to what is publishing on the video of the internet. All right, it's currently 9:53 p.m. This is what is informing, and this is where you are witnessing what is the entity that is indeed obsessed and also delusional. Okay, the demon-possessed are very dangerous. They're dangerous because of their severe mental sickness, and it is it's been ripped out of the closet. They can't even feign sanity to themselves while they listen to me document and expose them. They are triggered by the truth that I speak about what they're doing while they lie to themselves about who they are and what they're doing every day. 8W50314, 7CRZ516, 8EOG661, 8DCJ981. The demon-possessed are engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct. It's revealing to you what you need to be aware of, because the demon-possessed are going to increase in violence. They're going to increase in random criminal conduct. They're going to increase in criminal conduct is sexually perverted. Criminal conduct is inexplicably violent for no reason that you are aware of on the surface. You don't have to do anything to them for them to engage in what is targeting you in one way or another. And this is relevant to their condition. The demon-possessed, those who are lost, those who serve Satan, they are a threat to the public, and the system of gang stalking is letting you know about that. They fill this country, the United States. Okay, they fill this country, and they sit up there. They are on all over social media. You're following them. They have successful businesses that you support. You're in their presence in public. They're surrounding you in traffic. You are around them all the time, and it's the time is that we are in a time to where it would behoove you to be mindful and aware of the environment that you are in, and the population that wants to be around in plain sight but does not want you to know what they are and who they are. Okay, that's dangerous. So the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and you need to know who the entity is. Okay, and that's what the P.O.C. also provides, the ability to identify demon possession, those that are operating over a demonic spirit, which is speaking to very disturbing behavior. And that's speaking to what are ticking time bombs. Okay, and that's not to instill fear, it's to be informed. Okay, when I am aware of people of a certain, you'll never be in my house. You're not coming to my house. I'm not hanging out with you. And matter of fact, if I know that you shop at a certain grocery store, I probably just won't go there because I'm aware of what's wrong with you. So the entities engaging in this, and this is a population that can no longer hide, because that's what the demon possessed do. And they're not hidden. They're all in plain sight. That's what's relevant about the impunity of the entity that's gang stalking in an obvious manner, where the federal government is going to prosecute. This is terrorism and harassment. Never mind my legally analyzing it. Never mind my speaking to and suggesting the prosecution and the policies that will surround a corrupt entity just like this, because I know exactly how you deal with this. I have plenty of suggestions of how to deal with Satan and this maniacal psychopath that is operating through a population. I know exactly how to handle that. But that doesn't mean that I'm less entitled to my rights being enforced. That doesn't mean that it's less harassment harassing to me. It doesn't mean that it's less psychologically harmful. It doesn't mean that it's less threatening and less criminal. It is the exact opposite. American citizens have the right to not be subject to this at all. A whole government is bullying an American citizen. So I have to go through it in order to expose it and prosecute it. It's just that I'm not cowering in a corner somewhere. I actually laugh. This is pathetic, and it's very sad. It's very sad. You have families of demons that go out about the day, and they sit around stalking me all day long with their kids. Like their kids are gang stalking with them. And this is what they call family life. This is what they call a day living. That's not living. These people are dead already. All right? And they're criminals as well. I'm going to prosecute. Okay, but an American citizen has a right to not be subject to it. It is absolutely psychologically harmful. You are you're forced to live in a bubble. You are in an environment that is entirely chaotic, which is also psychologically harmful. And they are sexual perverts. They're obsessed with your genitalia. They are obsessively stalking you, obsessed with everything about you, while at the same time they are harboring. And also, when they are convinced that nobody is aware of it and that they will get away with it, they are openly exposing severe hatred, hostility, and aggression towards you. Okay? And this is the entity that is bullying as a population. And that is exhibited through the elements of monitoring, through the amplified audible activity, through the impossible light activity, through the ongoing stalking directly and vicariously. Okay? If you are ignorant about the terms that I'm using, go to my website. This is the P.O.C.wordpress.com, where I have provided the policy SIIS, systematic infliction of inhumane suffering, where I am literally providing not only what I advocate, a federal group stalking and monitoring, essentially a gang stalking statute, a statute for prosecuting domestic terrorism. All right, but not only that, definitions, so that you understand what am I talking about when I'm talking about vicarious and direct. The government gang stalking me by the Ontario Police and the Ontario San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department versus the demons at Starbucks gang stalking me. These demons whose license plate I'm reading while they're gang stalking at the stoplight. Okay, that's the difference between vicarious state action and direct state action. It's all state action. This public corruption system is happening under the illusion of private property, private speech versus public property and the government engaging. No, that's an illusion. They're all in the same specific environment. You're going to prosecute for that level of malice. That's the government that's bullying American citizens. And there are plenty of policies and definitions that I provided so that you can follow what it is that I'm describing. Okay, because I will be talking literally for hours and hours and hours. And a lot of my documentation, if you're following, I have already defined that. I've discussed it at length, you know, with regard to the policies that I advocate and breaking down this criminal conduct by the demon possessed. Okay, and the entire formula that they abide by. These are demons. So you're looking at people, different faces. They might even be in the government, but it doesn't matter because they're demons. So they are all engaging in it's an identical formula. It will never deviate. And that's also how you get to what are a bunch of their ineptitude. It's prevalent, okay? They have nothing else other than the obvious conduct that fifth graders will be obviously aware of as well. The sun sits over the building all day long. Everybody is on alert that ongoing targeting is underway so that you are not ignorant, so that you're not subject to something that you don't know about that's threatening your life and safety, so that you will not be subject to what is psychological torture. Because a lot of people, it will not do harm to you when you're aware of it, when you're aware of the tactics. That's part of the battle right now, just being aware of it, being armed with the information. When you know that somebody is seeking to psychologically harm you in the ways in which I've shown the tactics employed, just doing the same thing over and over again, the more that you talk about it, that's supposed to psychologically harm you. That's a demon, that's delusional. And it's also archaic because you're documenting in order to prove a pattern of conduct. The more that you stalk me, the more the evidence is proving the pattern of conduct in order to prosecute you. Duh. This is the entity that's engaging in that, but that's the entity's tactic. These are demons and they engage in an identical formula. Stalking and the elements of monitoring always prevail. They supersede as well. And where the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct, the malicious pattern of conduct that is shared, borne by a population. Okay, but that's relevant. I'm going to digress there. It's currently 10 p.m. The entity is engaging what is, as I upload, like I stated, as I begin uploading the video documentation that I captured, this is where the obvious criminal pattern of conduct. It's very obvious when you are stalking in commercial planes, flying miles away from the airport, hovering over the intersection with simultaneity to my pressing upload on YouTube to publish it. In an environment where I have multiple shadows all over the ground, where demons who are sex offenders desperate to touch me and affect me and be around me are stalking while they are touching with impossible light activity. Those are the demons that obsess over my vagina. Okay, they're sex offenders, and they're sex offenders that have children. They have spouses. They are engaged in what are stalking me together. while they are in what is supposed to be the illusion of normalcy. And when I've shown you, it's not even a persuasive appearance of normalcy. None of it looks normal to you anymore, as you are now informed. You're not ignorant anymore. You know exactly what you're looking at. Demon possession in plain sight. Okay? Public corruption in plain sight. It is currently 10:01 p.m. Just want to document those license plates. And this is the location where I'm at, E Street in Euclid, where the entities engage in that P.O.C. and stifling the internet. And these are the demons, again, thousands of videos on the internet. Okay? Thousands already. The demon possessed who are already failing, they've already lost in what is a contract that they have made with Satan in sacrificing themselves. Okay, and this is tragic, but this is the reality of those that walk in darkness, that walk with Satan, that engage in egregious, horrible, wicked things against American citizens, but against human beings. And so they've done that against me, and they have lost in that contract with Satan. Satan cannot have me. Satan doesn't control me. Satan will never silence me. Satan can't bully and intimidate me. Satan is very fearful of every word that I speak. And it is even proven while you're witnessing more and more planes fly over right here. That's a manifestation of fear. The demons are manifesting, and they do so while they're fearful of what it is that I speak. They get nervous. They get timid. Okay? They're intimidated by one person. You know why? It's because of the Holy Spirit that resides within me. It's Christ Jesus himself that the demon possessed are fearful of. And that's just the truth. All I'm doing is prosecuting in the physical regarding what is happening in the spiritual. And it is criminal conduct that's committed by a corrupt government. All right? That's all I'm doing. But there are spiritual truths behind what these demons are doing. And it's just something that you need to be aware of. So, like I stated, this is federal stalking with simultaneity to uploading the video onto Starbucks Wi-Fi. Starbucks is engaging in federal stalking. That Wi-Fi network and every other, everyone else is monitoring on this venue of the internet while I'm uploading video, as I have thousands of video, and the short-minded demons just going second by second, okay, like it's checkers. The entity, there's thousands of videos, and first of all, it's going on the internet, but second of all, they sacrifice themselves on an ongoing basis over and over again. I have thousands of videos, thousands of them, thousands. I'm going to tell you what you never want in the internet: to prosecute a government, to prove malice, to prove targeting in a supernatural manner. You don't want my shadow and flashing light like it's a photo shoot in a dark bedroom where the sun is above the building, and yet that inexplicable light is appearing in that manner. Where I'm showing you an ongoing pattern of targeting using planes and helicopters in that environment, which is inexplicable. Something that NASA, no expert is going to get on the stand and give any testimony to help the government. They've already forfeited. They've already lost. They're already prosecuted. That's what you don't want in the internet. There's thousands of video. It's already on the internet. What are you doing right now? These are demons that are fearful. These are demons that have lost in their contract with Satan. These are demons that have essentially engaged in suicide. They have killed their own careers. They've killed their own well-being, financial and otherwise. They have, in many ways, ruined their own livelihood. Okay, and I'm not into proclaiming death over people, but this is the reality. If you've engaged in trying to send death, the spirit of death, summoning demonic spirits to kill someone, to cause a heart attack, to cause them to inexplicable asphyxiation, which is what they do through witchcraft. These are the ways in which the entity is going to be, they're going to suffer through that which they have conjured up. They did it to themselves. And by the way, they're very fearful while I engage in things such as publishing videos, where I already have thousands of them. And I mean with an S plural, thousands of them on the internet. You and the feds know. Internationally, the people know what California is doing. And they're engaging in sacrificing themselves over and over again. Short-sightedness, imbeciles, mentally ill, demon-possessed, gang stalkers, domestic terrorists, okay? It's P.O.C. All right, it's currently 10:05 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and capture the ongoing pattern of conduct. License 9RTH943 is stalking with the Ontario International Airport. 10:05 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, 10:08 p.m. Uploading the video captured at 8:47 p.m. This is where the entity is simultaneously sounding plane activity. No planes taking off from the airport at 2500 Airport Drive is going to create any sort of plane engine noises over here. And they certainly aren't going to be rising in elevation like you're mimicking some sort of takeoff that's happening miles away from Terminal 2 and Terminal 4 by flying over Lemon Avenue, okay? This is the entity that is monitoring and creating audible activity in doing so. The entity is doing so as I am using the Starbucks Wi-Fi network where surveillance is underway by Starbucks, okay, in addition to everyone else, the people of the state. It is currently 10:09 p.m. The entity is engaging what is flight over my head by plane, and I'll go ahead and capture images of that. This is P.O.C. Concentrating plane activity in the same way that the entity is targeting in the specific environment with impossible light activity. All right. So this is the entity I'm going to show you flying over and then flying back around. You'll see the planes. It's captured at 10:10 p.m. This is the entity that's maintaining surveillance, flying over me, keeping me under surveillance, my device is under surveillance while I'm publishing. And this is the impunity with which the government is targeting an American citizen. Since they are treating American citizens like we're in Baghdad, like they're just going to drop bombs and stalk you and harass you. Like it's going to be at the forefront, believe me. The judge that provides justice, it's going to be at the forefront of the mind of the federal court. Okay? It's P.O.C. It's 10:10 p.m. All right, ARCO and CHEVRON, ongoing sexual molestation with impossible light activity while these demons are engaging in surveillance together, including 4 Y.E.C. 071, 7CKY 957, 8HOV 444. These are all sex offenders molesting me together as an entity while they're monitoring evidence. Thousands of videos already online, and they all sacrifice themselves together as obsessed, demon-possessed gang stalkers, sex offenders. 9NCL 549, federal stalking. All right, they're all engaged in federal stalking. That's the main premise upon the federal RICO case. They're all sharing in surveillance, and I'm documenting those sex offenders while the entity is stalking by aircraft over my head, molesting with impossible light while they're pacing at E Street in Euclid, and doing so while they are maintaining criminal presence in the path. The government has no warrant or probable cause for the people of the state to be engaging in surveillance on the roads and the highways, in the sky space, and by the people of the state at any and all of the public establishments. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:11 p.m. Those are the sex offenders, the people of the state that are gang stalking, maintaining ongoing amplified noise. License 8EJTL22, stalking in the path at E Street and Euclid Avenue, stalking with amplified noise. These are the demon-possessed that act as an entity. All right, and they engage in the same teamwork. Remember, they all engage in the same level of teamwork surrounding my vagina, where sex offenders conspire the murder of American citizens whom they're gang stalking. And that's why Michael GERKEN, Mike LORENZ, Alan D. WAPNER, Paul Leon, amongst other corrupt leaders who are demons engaging in this corrupt system, that's keeping me under surveillance at this intersection regarding videos that are going on the internet at 10:13 in the afternoon. Excuse me, in the evening. The entity is engaged in this level of obsessing over me and obsessing over evidence that's going to be used against the entity. That's P.O.C. It's currently 10:13 p.m. All right, license plate 9KUB235, 8XUC386, 8SSV957, 7KAK361. They're all sharing in criminal monitoring, federal stalking. The entity is doing so, including, looks like Gloria's Cochinas. The entity maintaining ongoing light activity at that venue, stalking in the path on Euclid Avenue in alignment to me, using their vehicle lights. Random stalkers engaging in that conduct, stopping in the middle of the night on this street. I've documented that just to maintain ongoing light activity. Okay, this is the population that's sharing in surveillance. Any random demon, they just stop on the side of the road. That's how you know you have a collective act, a cooperative criminal act. Okay, Gloria's Cochinas is at the corner where the entity has the fake sun at 7 in the morning and also 12:51 in the afternoon, where Alex Escobar is gang stalking. Gloria's Cochinas, where the entity is gang stalking by Southwest Airlines while I'm at that parking lot. Gloria's Cochinas, where the fake sun is over me at 4 o'clock in the evening and also 7 o'clock in the morning. That's where the people of the state are stalking in the path with that establishment, Gloria's Cochinas, that is engaged in relevant positioning and criminal monitoring as an establishment and providing a facilitating venue by the demons that are gang stalking, including 64987V3. It is currently 10:15 p.m.
All right, sex offender molesting, 9HEP 977, molestation with impossible light activity while they are stalking me, driving north on Euclid Avenue. This is a sex offense committed as an entity. It's currently 10:17 p.m. They're engaged in federal stalking that's relevant to the sex offense that they're committing while gang stalking on the roads and the highways with the city of Ontario. SLW 672. And it's currently 10:21 p.m. The entity is engaged in ongoing sexual violence. So I'm documenting sex offenders that are stalking while they are maintaining presence at the intersection. Surveillance. License 1644473 and 9FOE 986. Remember, it's not their headlights that are molesting and creating dynamic shadows moving across in multiple shadows. These are sex offenders that are stalking systematically on the roads and the highways. It's currently 10:21 p.m. where the people of the state are sex offenders stalking a woman, molesting a woman, chasing after a woman, being a predator in the middle of the night. And this is state action. This is sexual violence. This is targeting violence against a woman that the government is engaging in. That Alan D. Wapner, Mike Lorenz, Paul Leon, Michael GERKEN are all a part of facilitating, enabling. Okay, this is what the pursuit of what these corrupt departments are sharing in violence against a woman. Okay, violence against women in particular. It is currently 10:22 p.m. P.O.C. 8 LOU 300. It's 10:27 p.m. And this is, I've already documented Beacon. You know that they're a gang stalker. They were monitoring at Alvarado Gardens under the fake sun. Beacon is the truck, the trailer on the back of this. This is Z Coco Trucking Incorporated. They're gang stalkers. US.3920278. And that is 2536610, I believe, is the license plate, out of state. But Beacon is a readily identifiable company name. That's a third party and a third party that I have documented before. They're gang stalking on the roads and the highways. And these trucks that are inherently engaged in interstate commerce are automatically engaged in violating federal stalking, coming in and out of the state of California with the intent to engage in criminal monitoring. Because that's exactly what the state of California is doing. And they're doing so upon crossing state lines and gang stalking with the state of California in this specific environment. It's P.O.C. It's currently 10:28 p.m. All right, license 8TUG 581, I believe. Molesting with ongoing impossible light activity. This is what the demons are doing because they're monitoring. So their method of light activity is pursuant to a crossing path, and it's ongoing extraordinarily bright light, which I've shown you. It's the flashing of light that's occurring on my ceiling inside of my bedroom at Alvarado Gardens. That's what they're touching with. These are sex offenders who are demon possessed. They're monitoring while they're engaged in federal stalking. And the entity is doing so while I'm uploading the video, specifically criminal evidence, which the government is engaging in and interfering, trying to obstruct justice. And there are very specific names who are going to stand in federal court, and they're going to be prosecuted for obstruction of justice while they've engaged in egregious acts that I documented, while they were keeping the evidence under surveillance and trying to stop an ongoing in-process federal case. All right, this is video evidence captured today at 8:47 p.m. in 16 seconds. 5YSA004, sharing in federal stalking. The entities amplifying train activity. You can't hear the train over here. You can't hear the train at Woodside Senior Apartments. You can't hear the train inside of the vehicle while I'm sleeping in a car at 630 North Fern Avenue. The entity is gang stalking with Glorias Cochinas, where a demon is stalking with method of flashing light in the path, where the third party is stalking in the path with the amplified noise. That's the elements of monitoring. Light activity, relevant positioning, audible activity. They're engaged in monitoring this evidence that's being uploaded on Starbucks' Wi-Fi network. Surveillance is underway by Starbucks, okay? And it's facilitating it. Surveillance is underway on my device, on the internet, by a population. Not coincidentally engaging in the elements together. Not coincidentally. These are demons that are collectively acting as an entity, and they conspire murder together as well. They engage in sexual violence together as well. 7VES062. 7KJW970. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:34 p.m.
Or some type
License 9EEL481.
Okay.
9L8G091.
Body could be significant.
License 8NVE355.
Let me blow
It's 10:37 p.m.
Could be
All
throwing
right,
up a
license
mess.
plate EF09B25 paper 9LVE773. 8VRL223 7SIY173, I believe. 8MDP700. That one is correct. 10:48 p.m. In East Street, where the Ontario International Airport's been maintaining ongoing surveillance that's amplified audible activity and engineer light. In the environment, you already know that this is the pattern of conduct. Engineer light is present. This is the Starbucks where the entity keeps the fake sun for 12 hours. It's sitting on the record. The entity is engaging in surveillance right now, monitoring while I'm uploading on the venue of the internet. They're crossing paths just like the demons whose license plates I'm reading right here at this intersection while they're molesting with impossible light. The Ontario Police is sharing in the elements of monitoring. They've been gang stalking the entire time while L&D WAPNER's criminal engagement in gang stalking is documented through the maintenance of commercial planes. Okay? P.O.C. This is license plate 8JEY636, and this is impunity. The domestic terrorists in the state of California, both of the immigrant population and those natural born, they're subject to the same criminal pattern of conduct with gang stalking police officers acting in furtherance of the conspiracy to murder. That's why you're going to deport gang stalking immigrants, by the way. They share in impunity and they share in ongoing criminal conduct right in front of your face. You're documenting and you're looking at them stalking with impunity. That's a demon stalking with light in the middle of the street. All right? Stalking me, knowing exactly who I am. Those are the demons of the Ontario Police stalking by helicopter. And here's the fake moon. This is the specific environment where the fake sun is present from morning until evening at this intersection. All right, and this is where the entity is maintaining that specific environment. Here's the moon right here behind the sun. Behind the sign. That's the fake moon right there. This is where the entity is stalking in the path. That's a stalker. Lurking, stalking with light. That's the outward demonstration of mental illness. And it is the obvious engagement in the pattern of conduct. The Ontario Police are crossing paths, stalking, in the same way that the people that stayed on the roads and the highways are crossing paths, okay? They're doing so in the specific environment. Let me show you what that looks like. 1 shadow, 2 shadows, 3 shadows. Those are demons. All they're doing is going to the gas station, stalking in the path with light, under the fake moon, in the engineered environment, doing so at the crosswalk with traffic, stalking in the middle of the night, aiming light, that's a demon, doing so while demons fly in helicopters. This is the disbanding of the Ontario Police Department. This is where the entity is maintaining ongoing air traffic, where there's no deviation. You are clearly deviating, rather, from the airport to hover over this intersection, miles away from the airport, the terminals, 2500, 2900. Ontario Police were gang stalking then, and they're gang stalking now while I document them, stalking me in a helicopter. They're being disbanded. That's P.O.C. You see that demon stalking in the path? That's why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. P.O.C. It's currently 10:44 p.m. and they're monitoring on my device as I'm uploading the video onto Starbucks Wi-Fi network while the Starbucks is engaging in surveillance. P.O.C. Alrighty, capturing video of the Ontario Police. That's exactly why I'm documenting license plates. The people that stayed are indeed gang stalking. You already know this because the entity is going to be prosecuted. Demons license plates, identifying third parties specifically, and this is relevant to the federal case. The entity engages in criminal conduct and not thinking about when they're standing in front of a federal judge, when they're identified in a federal case, and they're going to be answering in a federal tribunal for very serious federal charges, including domestic terrorism, sexual violence committed by a government that's going to forever change their lives. They're not thinking about that now. These are mentally ill people. Their mental illness isn't creating a defense such that they don't know. Oh, they know. They're just so mentally sick and obsessed that they are choosing their obsession rather than controlling themselves and sitting down somewhere. All right? And you're going to be prosecuted for that. It's currently 10:45 p.m. This is P.O.C. Stalker, license plate 7UGK523. Let's see. 4V5D124. That's a large truck, as you can hear. Gang stalking. Impossible light while these demons are driving on the roads and the highways. It's not their headlights that creates that dynamic light across the walls. Again, way before the vehicle even crosses path as well. This is engineered light that's traveling in front of the vehicles and to the side all over the storefronts, creating dynamic shadows. They're also under a whole fake moon. This is the mentally ill population that's engaging in mentally sick behavior as one stalking me together while they're already proven to be
engaging in the conduct that they never before ever thought, and they're clearly unprepared for being prosecuted and being proven as such. Never prepared for it, okay? This is surveillance on the video of the internet, however. It's 9MGF697, and it's 10:46 p.m. P.O.C. All right, license plate. This is 94523. 945. Hold on a second. 9452381. And this demon that's playing the music so loud is doing so while having no license plate. These are the cowards gang stalking in Ontario. That's P.O.C. License plate. Probably a gang stalking immigrant. 9EWU891. License plate. A BL99P83. That looks like a paper plate on a GMC truck. The entity is monitoring online, so this is what the Ontario Police is doing, by the way. They're gang stalking, and they engage in taking that ongoing risk. They're already disbanded. So I've told you about what's going to happen in the physical. You can just acknowledge them as the Ontario Police. It's already over for them. So they are totally illegitimate. They're just engaging in what is stalking in their last moments, existing as an entire department, and all of them done with law enforcement. They're still stalking until the very end. This is the mental illness of those that are engaging in that, and they are part of the Ontario Police Department. They are engaging in gang stalking, monitoring the evidence that's being uploaded onto the internet, okay? That's the purpose of what the Ontario Police are doing, which you're listening to me document. They're focusing on the video that I'm uploading online, which is focusing on me still, stalking me, and they happen to be stalking the person that's also prosecuting, and that's going to the enhancement of that prosecution because they're gang stalking the federal prosecutor. It is currently 10:52 p.m. That's the entity that's stalking using plane and helicopter, surrounding this intersection with plane engines and helicopter. Of course, the psychopaths that are gang stalking have to respond by more criminal conduct, which is, again, the evidence of mental illness, delusion. These are the demons that have been engaged in one too many spells, one too many demons occupying their vessel. Mental illness is exhibited when the entity is engaging in stalking an American citizen using helicopters. This is the entity that is, again, not coincidentally engaging in repeating it in the specific environment while I'm documenting. 9PAR536, I want to be clear, that's federal prison, what that license plate is doing right now. It's federal prison while the Ontario Police flies over 507 North Euclid Avenue, where I'm located. That's literally what they did moments ago. They're doing it in the specific environment where I have multiple shadows, the impossible light activity, and the impossible maintenance of a coincidence where the entity is keeping both the fake moon, and as I refer to the demons who are done with law enforcement, they are literally stalking until the last moment till those psychopaths are dragged in federal court where they've already been proven. I just want to be clear, the federal court where this is going to be entertained, they already know. Okay, so they're stalking until the last minute, until they're dragged into that court, until the Ontario Police are raided, until they're placed in handcuffs. Okay, until they're placed in the tribunal where they were going to answer for what I've already proven that they're doing. There's no coincidence that they fly over me here in the specific environment as I'm referring to them. The entity is engaging in a very obvious criminal pattern of conduct, and you also need to know that they're engaging in what is exhibiting to the world mental illness and the threat that gang stalking police officers pose to the public. That's the Ontario Police again, pacing all around me, stalking. This is what they were doing at the Ontario Town Square under the fake sun, flying all around me while that fake sun was over me as I'm documenting Delta Airlines, who was stalking with the city of Ontario, the Ontario Police. That's why I'm going to prosecute Delta Airlines so profusely, okay? That's why. That's exactly why. It's currently 10:54 p.m. This is exactly what I was referring to, and the Ontario Police are focused on me. And how else do you know that? Because there's the fake moon. The demons that are stalking, they do so under a fake sun and a fake moon where they practice their satanic means of monitoring and psychologically torturing the person whom they are targeting together while they are conspiring to murder that person. They've been caught red-handed in that crime, and the Ontario Police are being disbanded for their criminal engagement in that crime, and doing so with impunity that the entire world, the United States, is witnessing, and also the federal court that's going to prosecute these kidnappers, these gang members, these sex offenders, these psychopaths. Using helicopters, you know how much money that's wasted? When you're deporting the gang stalking immigrants, when you're removing the gang stalking mayors, the gang stalking officials like Mike LORENZ, you're going to find resources. It's wasted on criminal activity. the fuel used to use that helicopter, the manpower, the money, it takes money to even start that helicopter and fly, and they're engaging in stalking me with it. You will find resources when you are removing these corrupt demons from the positions that they hold. For actually competent people who would never engage in monitoring the vagina of a woman or the genitalia of any American citizen like the Ontario Police Department are, stalking me in the most expensive manner possible. That's how obsessed they are. That's how invested they are in stealing my property and criminally defaming my character and kidnapping me in order to obstruct justice. Just like they did right here. Their co-defendants are going to federal prison. This is what L. Edwards, I'm right here. L. Edwards was committing kidnapping. So was A. Quesada and Alex Escobar. And guess where they're going? They're going to federal prison. They're going to federal prison, not state prison. They're not going to San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, that little jail. They're going to federal prison. Okay, this is P.O.C. This is federal stalking, and that's why gang stalking police officers are going straight to federal prison, because of the criminal conduct, the domestic terrorism that the Ontario police are openly engaging in. And the federal the federal court is not going to miss this. It's at the forefront of the prosecution of these gang members. The Ontario Police. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:56 p.m. and that's exactly what I'm documenting on podcast. These demons that are gang stalking, I'm reading their license plates because they're engaged in ongoing surveillance, stalking with the Ontario Police the entire time, and show us the Ontario International Airport. This is P.O.C. All right, documenting what you can hear. The demons are monitoring on the video of the internet, and there's no coincidence while they are triggered by the truth that I speak, and they are done with law enforcement, and they know that, and that's why 21050P3 is gang stalking with them while they fly over, and a demon that is mentally sick, it is in denial and has run out of strategies with regard to how are you going to try to sacrifice somebody that's not capable of being sacrificed by a demon? By engaging in the same archaic method, which all I do is document in order to result in what is the disbanding, the necessary, the mandated, the required disbanding of the Ontario Police Department, putting away predators and psychopaths like L. Edwards and A. Quesada and Alex Escobar, C. Torres, B. Hook, Nathan Morgan and L. Martinez, C. Hazelwood and Owens, all engaged in what is kidnapping, attempted kidnapping while they're stalking, just like I'm capturing on video. And who else is going to federal prison? The people of the state that engage in kidnapping right along with them. Criminal summoning. Tracy Banks, the entity that's kidnapping and engaging in targeting me with his sex partner. Tracy Banks is acting with Jason Isaac Fields. Just because he's not in that apartment, because they don't have sex in my presence. They don't have their sex rituals around me. They were having their sexual activity and engaging in their group sex with each other outside of my knowledge, outside of my presence. But him having sex with somebody as old as his grandma and her having sex with somebody as young as my little brother, that is something that they engaged in while they were targeting me together. And Tracy Banks with Jason Isaac Fields, who has been targeting me and defaming me with his sex partner, Tracy Banks, and the Ontario Police Department for years. They're both going to federal prison. They're both going to federal prison. The entity is engaged in criminal summoning right here at the Starbucks, where they're still stalking by helicopter. This is what they're doing when Starbucks is gang stalking with them, and then they engage in criminal summoning. Because the demons are sore because you're documenting them. I absolutely, and I'm going to document also the fact that while you're conspiring my murder and gang stalking me as an entity, then you committed kidnapping. And that's why Ocean and everybody else is going to federal prison for it. And the entity is providing evidence about exactly what I stated L. Edwards and A. Quesada and Alex Escobar were committing on July 4, 2025, and it was a kidnapping pursuant to state surveillance by a corrupt entity that's hostile as the demons are, stalking in real time as I'm referring to the fact that the Ontario Police Department is being disbanded. And they're going to continue stalking until the moment that they're raided and that they are dragged into federal court, which is what this video evidence documents, and prosecuting them with, as I have a whole body of evidence showing the exact same thing. A consistent, long existing body of evidence. Those are the demons that are mentally ill. Those are the demons that are, again, they also are triggered with regard to their use of weapons, deadly weapons, murdering people, kidnapping people, physically harming people while lying on them, setting them up, falsely depicting their character, bringing false charges against them when they're engaging in what is targeting them, keeping them under surveillance, having no authority under the Constitution thereby, by the way. They don't have any authority, not even against these gang stalking demons that are monitoring with them. They don't have authority under the law. They're engaging in surveillance. They're going to be disbanded for all of the above. By the way, they obviously engage in it in real time. You hear what I'm talking about and who flies over? the Ontario Police Department, and they're engaging in federal stalking, monitoring the video evidence that is uploading onto the venue of the internet. Again, the same video that's taking so long to upload because the entity is engaging in surveillance. It's a video captured today, August 11, 2025, at 8:47 p.m. and 18 seconds. So it's 20:47:16, and it's still uploading because these demons are monitoring. That's federal stalking, and it's obstruction while the demons are stalking on video. Because there's no question about what Erica Spencer has proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And the Ontario Police, one of the consequences is permanent removal from law enforcement and any territorial jurisdiction in the U.S., and they're being disbanded for terrorism. And they are exposed and proven to be enemies of this country while they're gang stalking American citizens as a corrupt police department, exhibiting severe instability. And they represent exactly why and how deportation, removal of public officials will be a natural result, which will result in the benefit of the economy, jobs, and because of the entity that is going to result in much less expenditures of a criminal nature, while gang stalking is so expensive and costs a lot of money, especially when they're engaging what is monitoring my vagina, engaging 24/7 surveillance, including when they have to make sure that they make a response. That's not a response. That's criminal conduct for which federal judges are going to be putting cops in federal prison for. That wasn't a response. Those are demons that are in denial. Those are demons that have been practicing too much witchcraft. Those are demons that have far too many demonic spirits telling them to do things that they should not be listening to. Because they follow Satan, they're going right into federal cells. They're going right into federal cells, listening to Satan. It is currently 11:01 p.m., and this is again a public service announcement. Serving Satan does not end well. You're watching the city of Ontario, the public demise of the city of Ontario. Demon-possessed police officers, demon-possessed pilots, demon-possessed public officials, demon-possessed community members, civilian, they're gang stalking together. This is not going to end well. It's not going to end well. It's already going terribly bad. It's not going to end well. And that's a public service announcement because it will never end well for those that are serving Satan. It equals the demise of the local government in the city of Ontario. And I'm documenting the people of the state that are gang stalking with these imbeciles stalking in the most obvious manner in planes and helicopters at this intersection under a fake moon and an engineered light. This is a poster board for mental illness. Okay? They're sick and they're delusional and they are very much in denial regarding what are not only spiritual circumstances that they have because the Ontario police weren't able to accomplish sacrificing me. And because they engaged in that, however, they're being disbanded. They're being wiped off the map. Ontario Police Department shall be no more. They're gone. They're gone. They're going to be bye-bye. They're going to federal prison as well. It is currently 11:03 p.m. That is the beauty of documentation. In order to prove a bunch of demons who think that their magic, that their spell work is going to effectively remove an American citizen. And this is proof to you because you don't have to be an attorney. You don't have to go to law school. You don't have to have a skill set and tremendous spiritual discernment in order to learn how you would prove that the government is targeting you because the precedent has already been set. You understand what the specific environment is. And you can recognize with regard to the elements, the features of the system, and any American citizen is empowered to enforce their rights. And that's the purpose for what the Lord has allowed me to be subject to in order that other people can enforce their rights as well and be informed. Don't be ignorant. And these gang stalkers in Ontario and California, they're going to represent what is an example, a nationwide and also an international example, because the United States is not going to tolerate what the Ontario Police Department is doing. They will be made an example of because this is an impermissible threat made to an American citizen. And you are not on the world stage going to engage in this un-American conduct and think that it's just going to be met with a slap on the wrist. I told you, they're going to be disbanded and gang stalking police officers are going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It's currently 11:04 p.m. Alrighty, license plate 9SPE191. Gang stalking at the same intersection. Chevron is maintaining light activity with the large commercial truck. The Ontario Police that is gang stalking in helicopter is still gang stalking now. The Ontario International Airport that is gang stalking on video like I captured at the same intersection is gang stalking now while the people of the state are maintaining. It's a ceaseless pattern of conduct. And this is also how the stupidity behind the specific environment, the stupidity behind gang stalking directly is sharing what the people of the state are engaging in ceaselessly as a pattern and vice versa. It is currently 11:08 11:08 p.m. Ontario Police, gang stalking by helicopter, engaging in the elements of monitoring because they're gang stalking the entire time. Crossing path. And they're monitoring the video capture at 8:47 p.m. It's at 94%, slowing down the ongoing upload with the impossible light. License 57903E3. That's federal prison, by the way, with regard to the rules. While the Ontario Police, they're sharing and gang stalking with the police. That's flying right over Starbucks. And so is this one license plate, 77068B3. And I just want to let you know, the gang stalking immigrants, they like to come around and monitor with their cultural music. It's a entity that's engaged in the specific environment. This is their way of threatening you and playing such music like that when they listen to me document gang stalking immigrants and a policy surrounding them. That's a threat. Just want to be clear, gang stalking immigrants are hostile to the Constitution. They're hostile to the laws in this country, and they're engaged in that conduct. They do that, and they engage in what is harassment by playing it really loud in the engineer light while the entity is stalking by helicopter and planes. This is how an entity is engaging in what is hostile, passive-aggressive manners of monitoring you. That third-party license plate, if that is an immigrant, you deport them as well. And it's relevant to federal prison while the Ontario Police is gang stalking, sharing in the elements together. This is exactly how I prosecuted Alvarado Gardens. When you're gang stalking me with LAPD, at the same time you're going to federal prison. This is the entity that is engaging in, we're relying on the threatening behavior of an entity altogether, and that is met with federal prison. Okay, no negotiation. So I just want to document that. That's what they're engaging in right now, and it's not different. So I just want to point that out while I'm documenting license plates. P.O.C, it's currently 1:40 p.m. and the Ontario Police, excuse me, it's not 1:40, it's 11:11 p.m. and the entity is monitoring. Ontario Police is focused on the video that's uploading. It's almost done uploading, and they've been trying to prolong, stutter, slow down the upload. And that's how, again, more obsessed with me that the entity is than the fact that that police department is being disbanded, and that the United States is going to be viewed as one terrorizing its own American citizens, and we're supposed to, on an international stage, be taken seriously, where this is going to be all over the news regarding what an American government, what a police department is engaging in. And this is beyond just harassment. This is terrorism as an entire police department that is gang stalking, no unsubstantiated, unsupported conspiracy theory. It is terrorism and psychological torture, and it is that which a police department is engaging in, and there's evidence of them engaging in years of trying to keep this a secret kidnapping, practicing witchcraft, and betting on conspiring my death while they're engaging in the satanic targeting system. The demon-possessed are the Ontario Police, and they're demonstrating their demon possession while they're engaging in the elements of monitoring, stalking in the absurd manner, such as using a helicopter, concentrating that helicopter right here where I'm at in the engineer light under the fake moon on the same street where the fake sun remains from sunrise until sunset in conformity to a pattern of conduct. And the people of the state share in that. And like I stated, everything that's happening in the specific environment is deliberate, including while I am reciting policies regarding how gang stalking immigrants shall be treated, and they shall be treated like those that are not welcome in this country. Since you don't like this country so much, since you hate American citizens so much, since you don't want to abide by the laws so much, since you're so hostile when you are reminded about the laws and the laws that you agreed to be subject to. So you're going to be deported out of this country. The entity deliberately engages in what is the communication of a threat. This is that defiant spirit. These are demons that are hostile, playing such music which is relevant to, you're not necessarily an immigrant, but that is a general reference to those that are of a different culture. This is what an entity is doing as a pattern of conduct. I'm just letting you know one of the tactics, and I'm going to openly address it, because while you want to openly engage in gang stalking in the United States is going to openly deport you. It's going to openly deport you. All right, and the reason why, and all the evidence speaking to that population and the hostility that they have toward American citizens and American soil and the constitutional laws whereby they are in this country. You don't like it, get out. Simple as that. 5MPK919, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Because that's what the entity is doing. Understand that you're legally analyzing what they're doing. This is a specific environment. Everything that is heard, everybody that is present, everything that's occurring is pursuant to monitoring. These are demons. It's demonic synchronicity. So when I'm referring to immigration, the entity that is hostile to that, so they come around playing this cultural music, which I don't have any preference for any specific genre. These are the demons that engage in this pettiness. I'm going to prosecute them with this pettiness. You're monitoring while you're playing your cultural music, and you think that that's some sort of response. It's not. You're monitoring, first of all. Second of all, you and your cultural can get out of this country. It's as simple as that. You don't make a response to someone in someone else's terrain. This is my country. And you're monitoring me. You can go back to where you came from if you don't like it so much. Which by gang stalking, you are communicating that. And you don't get a vote. When you're gang stalking, you're subject to deportation, period. But I just want it to be made known publicly that these are the tactics that they like to engage in. You're not going to target me and it be made a secret. So since you're hostile and you're going to engage in some sort of passive-aggressive, threatening kind of monitoring while playing the cultural music that would be associated to those that are of the immigrant population, they do that not coincidentally, just like the Ontario police isn't coincidentally flying over my head by helicopter, as I refer to the fact that they're done with law enforcement in the specific environment. Gang stalking immigrants engage in that like that's some sort of response to what is a federal prosecution for domestic terrorism. It's not. It's not a response. But your statements, implied and expressed, are duly noted. Duly noted. Believe me, the United States is not interested in keeping anybody that doesn't want to be here and anybody that's not worthy of being on this soil. And it is being noted. You're making all the wrong statements. You're engaging in all the wrong conduct. And there's not going to be any ability to walk it back in that forum where you're not going to want to be viewed that way, or making that sort of statement, or coming from that sort of position. But that's exactly what they are doing. Understand that. These demons are monitored. So gang stalking immigrants are making some sort of statement. You're not just playing your music. No, you're not. You're monitoring. It's not. Understand that this is the intentional. And so I just want to make sure that that's clear. So since you want to convey those sorts of ideas and those sort of sentiments to what is constitutional, law-abiding conduct with the government that's stalking me by helicopter at the same time, understand the threat that's there. Oh, gang stalking immigrants, you're getting shipped out of here. You're getting shipped out of here. You are not welcome. And since you're clearly communicating the fact that you don't like it here, no one is going to cry. No one's going to miss you. You're not welcome in this country. It is as simple as that. It's like being in somebody's house that you don't want to respect. You don't want to respect my house? Get out of my house. It's as simple as that. Now, this is what the government has been facilitating, enabling, rewarding. Enemies that are on our soil. They don't even like this country. Okay, so this is speaking to, this is not any sort of expressive constitutional right. They're not just happening to blast and bump their music. That's not a coincidence. The entity is engaging in monitoring, just like that demon is. It's monitoring, and I'm going to make sure that you understand that message because it's not just to me. These demons are communicating to you. This is a country that we share. Wherever in this country people are being terrorized, you need to recognize where American citizens are being targeted, where a government is engaging in this corrupt system. This is something that you need to pay attention to because if it's happening there, it can happen to you. You need to pay attention. If they are showing hostility toward American citizens, they're showing hostility toward laws that are deterring what is hate crimes, monitoring, targeting American citizens. If that's how you feel, why are you even here? Why are you here in the first place? And you don't have a right to be here. So you're talking about what is understanding that, and that's why I want to make sure that I hone in on that. Everything that you hear is relevant to monitoring. It's very specific and deliberate. The entity is stalking by helicopter. That's a corrupt kidnapping entity that's gang stalking as a corrupt police department, the corrupt executive branch that is sharing and monitoring and threatening with gang stalking immigrants. Or at least in a manner that is conveying that population by playing that type of music. Understand that. Understand the purpose behind that. This is the pattern of conduct that I've been subject to, and I'm letting you know what is the purpose, the intent behind everything that they do, as they do it while they're stalking me, monitoring me. Gang stalking immigrants, you don't have a problem with me. You have a problem with what are the laws in this country. You have a problem with the freedom of American citizens. And if you do not like it, clearly you don't because you're gang stalking in California and you're gang stalking with impunity that the rest of the country is noting. You are not welcome in this country. I'm letting you know what you have reaped yourself. Gang stalking immigrants in California shall be deported, and that is what justice requires. And the Ontario Police Department are sealing your case shut. That's not helping you. It's not helping you. All right, it is currently 11:19 p.m. and I just wanted to make sure that you caught that you're paying attention to that, and that is relevant to the analysis of what the gang stalkers, the terrorists in California, they commit that together. They are committing that as one, and that's not the first time that the Ontario Police Department is contributing to the delinquency of immigrants in the state. Those that are engaged in un-American conduct with the very government. That's not the first time the Ontario Police, this is why they're being disbanded. They are an infection. Okay? They're a liability. They're an embarrassment. Okay? They are literally the cause for the criminal conduct, for the lawlessness that I'm documenting. They are the reason for it. All right, they are perpetuating it. And they're going to be disbanded for it. And the entity is, there is literally a laundry list of demons gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, and it does not get any more foolish than that. That is a massive return to sender for all the witchcraft that the Ontario Police Department has been practicing for years, murdering American citizens in the name of Satan for years. And this is how you're able to witness what is the open exposure of these demons that are going to be disbanded. And they're going to federal prison, because I have them down by name, badge, number, license plate. They're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. It is currently 11:20 p.m. And that's the Ontario Police that is engaged in targeting me with those that are of a different culture, hostile to what is going to be implemented, period. It's already being implemented. And with regard to exposing what is gang stalking, federal offenses by the gang stalking immigrants, you can bet as surely as gang stalking police in Ontario are going to prison, you can bet you're being deported. It is currently 11:20 p.m. This is P.O.C. The Ontario Police are pacing back and forth. This is what the Ontario International Airport was doing. The more that I speak, the more frenzied, the more intimidated, the more fearful the psychopaths who are demon-possessed get. And this is how this is why the Ontario Police is pacing back and forth across Euclid Avenue. This is the demon that's also demonic. Yes, it is the outward demonstration of mental illness, but this is speaking to the sick mind. The more that Satan listens to me speak, the more truth that I speak, the more hostile it is demonstrated through their pacing behaviors. That's what the entity was doing when they're hovering over the same intersection using commercial planes. That's what I documented a couple hours ago. It's speaking to the entity that is triggered by what it is that I'm exposing about them. And this is the truth. Satan cannot stand facts. Satan can't stand the truth. Satan can't even stand being exposed, because Satan likes to lie to itself. And I'm referencing the population that are demon possessed. Satan likes to lie to itself and tell them that they're smarter than everyone. They're more capable than everyone. No, you're not. You're a bunch of baboons under a fake sun that's very obvious over one building like Starbucks all day long. Those are the demons. Those are the psychopaths. Those are the sex offenders pacing incessantly over Euclid Avenue while they listen to me prosecute the immigrant population through the criminal conduct of the Ontario Police Department. Those are the gang stalking immigrants that are hostile to the Constitution. They're hostile to American citizens like myself, like you who are listening. Okay? This is for information. You need to understand the reality of those that surround us. You need to understand the enemy. The enemy who is spiritual. The enemy that's using the population, and with regard to the use of law and policy in order to prosecute it, in order to neutralize that threat. And then you have the hypocrisy, the unfortunate, the tragedy of the government engaging in criminal conduct and facilitating, enabling, literally sharing in the criminal conduct it does not get any more disgusting and despicable than what the Ontario Police Department are engaging in. And they openly expose their mental illness in doing so. They give a disservice to themselves. With regard to wanting to not be subject to mental illness, to mental examinations, with regard to not wanting to be subject to federal prison by default upon prosecution documentation, with regard to not wanting to be associated with sexual violence and domestic terrorism and ongoing practice of witchcraft, Satanism. These are the things that the Ontario Police Department represent. And that's their own fault, okay? And that's just their inability to have any sort of actual response and any sort of behavior that is directly contradicting everything that I've documented. They act in conformity to everything that I say. I said this is what they're doing, and you're witnessing them do exactly that. It is currently 11:23 p.m. The entity is monitoring the evidence that is uploading onto the venue of the internet. The Ontario Police, they're a department full of mentally ill people, very sick. Males and females, very, very sick. And that is mental illness that's wearing police uniforms. You're going to remove that promptly. Remove that threat. Neutralize that threat. It is a threat to the public. Okay? You do not give psychopaths a badge and a gun and authority under the law. Okay? You don't give sex offenders that sort of position and authority. You remove it. And the Ontario Police Department is continuously exhibiting to the public, and most importantly to the federal court, that is going to treat the Ontario Police Department exactly the way that the law requires that they be treated, as the terrorists that they are, based on evidence that proves it, and their own opportunity to disprove what it is that I've shown. And all they do is confirm it. And that's exactly what they continuously do. It is currently 11:24 p.m. And those demons are more obsessed with this video capture at 8:47 p.m. being uploaded than they are with the fact that the world is going to witness the federal government deal with terrorism in the United States. And that's what the Ontario Police Department, and they're not the only one, but they're going to be the ones that are disbanded. They are going to be disbanded. But they are not clearly my evidence. There is a plethora. I have captured a plethora of law enforcement agencies gang stalking me, acting in conformity to the pattern of conduct. The Ontario Police are being disbanded for it. All right, it's currently 11:24 p.m. These are the mentally ill that engage in this ongoing demented and delusional conduct where psychopaths are in denial about their demise and they persist in what is a lost endeavor. And they're also doing it with regard to what is very dangerous. So now you're interfering with a federal case against yourself, and nobody in your right mind, clearly they're not in their right mind, but you're witnessing what is a threat that I am going to squarely address in federal court. Okay, I'm going to squarely address that. And why? Because I'm representing what the ordinary target, what an American citizen is not going to be. No government's going to threaten you like this. This is what they're doing now. This is going to be addressed in court. You're not going to engage in this conduct at all. You're not going to engage in it whatsoever. And so the entity is going to be so severely treated under federal law that everyone else is going to learn the lesson that these delusional psychopaths of the Ontario Police, the City of Ontario, refuse to accept. Even after the whole world already witnessed, they lost in what was never a competition in the first place. Okay? It's currently 11:25 p.m. Those are the demons that are stalking. Those are the losers that are obsessed with my vagina. Those are the psychopaths that are up in the middle of the night stalking me from place to place, spending as much money as they can. That's how important I am. That's how obsessed they are. That's how desperate they are. That's how mentally ill they are. That's the unfortunate reality about the demon-possessed population. It's currently 11:26 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, the people of the state molesting while the Ontario Police pacing along the same intersection right here. They're engaged in federal stalking. That's the Ontario Police sex offenders. License 9 TEA 429, I believe. Let me get. That's the Ontario Police flying over 507 North Euclid Avenue where I'm at. And again, they're sex offenders. The sex offenders that are pacing on the roads and the highways are molesting. So is ARCO, so is CHEVRON, so is Starbucks. These are the demons that are in relevant position, maintaining relevant positioning, while the demons of the Ontario Police are sex offenders. They want to touch all over me while they're stalking in the most absurd manner using helicopter, okay? As I finish speaking, I say P.O.C. and I stop recording, immediately the entity resumes helicopter activity and I'm being accosted with impossible light. Those are sex offenders, the same ones that you see flying in circles over the venue as they know that my panties are down, while they're engaging in surveillance, while they know that my vagina is exposed. That's what stalking in helicopter, okay? And it's the people of the state. License 7CKA 310, license plate. All right, this is the entity that's gang stalking, and that's again ARCO and CHEVRON. These are the venues right here. You're going to prosecute these venues. This is sexual violence, ongoing terrorism, 24 hours a day. That's why I'm here at night, and the entity is maintaining the pattern of conduct with the Ontario Police. You can hear the helicopter. That's audible activity. That's also relevant positioning, while the people of the state are creating light activity. You are already aware of the environment. They're doing it under the fake moon. You are aware of the evidence of the fake sun. The P.O.C. that's underway during the day is underway at night, and they're monitoring on the venue of the internet. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and this is the entity that is doing so while the federal government is watching. The federal government is watching, and the federal government is going to be prosecuted for what they are permitting the Ontario Police Department to engage in. Understand that. These lower demons who are, they cannot control their sexual impulses with regard to stalking my vagina. They cannot control themselves with regard to at least trying to act like you're not stalking and targeting one person. These are the demons that are mentally ill, and their mental illness has trapped them in a federal case, and it's the United States government that's permitting lower demons like the incompetent Ontario Police Department who are stalking in helicopters. Okay, the use of that criminal conduct because of a video that I'm uploading onto the venue of the internet where surveillance is underway. Okay, this is the entity that is all over the internet with regard to what I've already proven is surveillance, and that those are the sex offenders who are the people of the state. And I'm documenting them all day long, stalking everywhere that I'm going, molesting with impossible light while the entity is stalking with amplified helicopter activity. They are together engaging in that P.O.C. as one. Okay, it's 11:29 p.m. This is federal stalking while those elements are underway as you're listening to them. And all the Ontario police do are flying over the intersection, they're not going anywhere. And they were monitoring the entire time while I was documenting the frenzied psychopathic behavior of demon stalking using commercial planes. The Ontario police were monitoring the entire time. The Ontario police is taking its turn like it's double dutch. They're all being prosecuted. They're all being prosecuted. And many of the demons' names of the Ontario police that you witnessed engaging in kidnapping in 2025. There's a long list of judges. There's a long list of demons of the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department and demons of the Ontario police and the people of the state that are going to federal prison. Kidnapping in the same manner while they were gang stalking just like they are now. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:30 p.m. And at Euclid Avenue and Euclid and E Street, this is where the Ontario police, as you can hear them, the evidence of ongoing helicopter activity is the evidence of stalking. They're not flying off and going somewhere else. That's called pacing. They're pacing around me in the engineered light, just like they're doing under the fake sun. When I walk into the library in the morning and the fake sun is there at 9, and I walk in at 10 and it's there at 10, and I walk out at 4 and it's there at 4, and I walk out at 6 and it's there at 6, that's the Ontario police that's stalking. Those are demons that are doing that. Okay? Those demons are engaging in stalking in the middle of the night. That's why I'm capturing ongoing helicopter activity, because they're not going anywhere. Meaning they're stalking. And they're stalking me. I'm the one in Ontario that's publishing evidence about the city of Ontario. That's not a coincidence when I tell you that they're done with law enforcement, which they are. You're hearing helicopter activity. The people of the state are molesting with impossible light, the sex offenders that they are. Those are the demons that are going to be prosecuted and disbanded. And that's why the Ontario police is being disbanded. Their mental illness is evident all over the World Wide Web for you to learn from, for you to be advised by. You take heed and you use precaution before you call the police to your home, where demons are murdering people, and the fact that they're targeting, gang stalking, engaging in surveillance is not discussed with regard to the loss of American citizens' lives. It's not a part of the discourse. But when you call the Ontario Police Department to your house, you're calling murderers, you're calling demons and psychopaths to your house that are not engaged in law enforcement. And by the way, they already know what's happening when you are calling them to your house. That's what's happening in this country, where you're not aware that surveillance is underway. And they commit murders all the time. All right, it is currently 11:52 p.m. 11:32 p.m. The people of the state are representing that same threat with that corrupt law enforcement agency. They commit murder as an entity. And the demons that are gang stalking, like I said, they're gang stalking in the middle of the night. The gang stalkers are already identified, where they're engaging in criminal summoning with the same department. They're going to federal prison. They are going to federal prison. The entities engage in this P.O.C. and they engage in it with the mental illness is exhibited. How are you witnessing the mental illness? Not only because they're gang stalking in the absurd ways, the extreme manners. And I want to be clear, you're stalking somebody in a helicopter because you're scared of that person. All right, this is not a show of force, contrary to what the demons who secretly target American citizens using helicopters because they thought beforehand that was never going to be capable of being proven. Because they're inferior demons and they're intellectually inept. But the entity is doing so against those that they are inferior to. They're fearful of that. They're fearful of the Holy Spirit inside of me. They're scared to death. That's why they engage in it in real time. That's not a response, though, especially when you're going to be prosecuted. But what is a scaredy cat that's stalking as a police department engaging in? While I speak things that the truth, such as the Ontario police is being disbanded, what are those demons that are scared of me do? They engage in stalking in a helicopter because they're fearful. That's an act of fear. But again, the ordinary targeted individual is reasonably placed in fear. You're going to prosecute based on the impropriety of stalking an American citizen at all, let alone stalking in the most malicious, psychopathic, and psychologically harmful way. Helicopter activity, the hallmark used in the specific environment where gang stalking law enforcement agencies are targeting American citizens in the way in which I've shown throughout Southern California, by the way. Because that's how the Monrovia Police Department are in the exact same environment when I'm in Ontario at the same time. They're sharing in the pattern of conduct. The Ontario Police is being disbanded. And they are fearful. They're scared to death of me while they're stalking in a helicopter when they hear me tell them their future, that they're being disbanded and they're going to federal prison. It is currently 11:34 p.m. The entity is engaged in federal stalking. The entity is doing so while they are monitoring the ongoing evidence that's uploading onto the video of the internet, and it has been over an hour and a half while the entity is engaging in that. And this is again the video that's documented at 8 p.m. I believe, 8:47 p.m. This is the video that the Ontario Police is, again, thousands of videos already online, but this is what the entity is doing video by video by video, by podcast episode by podcast episode, by image after image. Also when I'm documenting, not just publishing, that's relevant to the entity that's going to federal prison as a police department. They're going to federal prison. Okay? This is the entity that's threatening my life on an ongoing basis while I'm documenting, and my case is already complete. They're racking up cases. They're racking up years in prison. Okay, this is this is the entity that's engaging in what is a pattern of conduct that's proven, and this is relevant to the prosecution of the federal government, because the federal government never should have permitted a bunch of imbeciles like the sex offenders, these gang members, to ever engage in targeting me. All right, this is relevant to that pattern of conduct where the entity is targeting and is doing so exhibiting severe mental illness, not only by the pattern of conduct, but then what are you accomplishing when you're proven to be stalking? The Ontario Police didn't count on being caught. They didn't. That wasn't part of the equation. So now that they're caught, what are they doing? Proving the fact that they're psychopaths, just doing it now in plain view. Okay, obviously just stalking, to be stalking. You're not responding to what's going to happen to you disbanding in federal prison when you obviously engage in stalking, supporting that result in helicopter, while I'm uploading the evidence on the video of the internet, and a bunch of sex offenders are helping you commit that act. You're going to federal prison where you belong, and like I stated, you are done with law enforcement. While you're wasting the resources of the municipality, removing the mayor, removing the airport authority, the president of the airport authority, removing the fire chief, removing all of these demons that are gang stalking at every level of government in the city of Ontario. Where demons like Tracy Banks, she's getting locked up, just like her co-defendants, gang stalking as a police department. She's going to federal prison. And this is an abysmal failure in trying to steal my money, my property, and trying to distract away. Gang stalking wasn't a distraction from theft by the state. Gang stalking was the evidence as to what the entity committed, what was the motive behind targeting in the first place. And they're going to federal prison for it. Okay? It is currently, by the way, 11:36 p.m. This is federal stalking with the intent to obstruct justice. That's what's relevant while the entity is engaged in that P.O.C. And the entity is doing so while I am engaged in what is uploading the evidence onto the video of the internet, which is all that the entity is focused on. One video amongst thousands of them. And it's also proven on the podcast. I add the video to the podcast as well. These are the mentally ill. They don't have any strategy in court. They don't have any intent on thinking about tomorrow. They already know that they've sacrificed their lives and their futures with regard to this contract with Satan trying to sacrifice, failing in a sacrifice. And they also know that they've already been documented and proven to be to be engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct. Unprecedented acts of terrorism in the U.S. And the federal government is the one that's also going to be held accountable for permitting it to happen in the first place. And by the way, just merely giving me my money, which I'm going to get my money and all my property, every dime that this government stole. And the people of the state, including Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, they represent the government that stole from me. The entity that's engaging in this, I'm going to get more than just my property. Okay, the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and justice requires way more than just restoration of what was stolen by this gang stalking entity. It includes what justice requires. The entity tried to kill me. So first of all, that didn't work, and you tried to steal everything that I own and defame my character in doing so. You're going to federal prison for it. You are going to federal prison, and this department is being disbanded. Okay, they are engaging in they know that they're being disbanded. That's why they're stalking in helicopter. Contrary to what you might think that means, don't be deceived. Don't be confused by that. It's an act out of fear. It's an act of desperation. And it's also a concession by Satan, who knows that he's already lost. And what do you do when you're already lost, when you're actually desperate? That's a threat to my life. These are acts of desperation, which is a threat to my life. And the demons that have already lost, they engage in ongoing obvious criminal conduct, such as stalking and helicopter. In that specific environment, in conformity to a documented pattern of conduct, thousands of videos of the Ontario Police stalking in conformity to a pattern of conduct. And they're doing so because they know exactly what's going to happen. And I stated it: disbanding, federal prison, permanent removal from law enforcement. And justice requires just that. It is currently 11:39 p.m. And the entity is engaging in what is targeting while I am uploading this video. And so I wanted to make sure that I include that, because the entity is doing so while the video at, I believe it's 8:47 p.m., while that video is being uploaded, and yeah, 8:47 p.m. and the entity is engaging in what is interfering. The Ontario police are so mentally sick, they focus on one video. This is mental illness for real. They can't even focus on a bigger picture. They are literally tunnel vision, okay? The mind of little marbles. Small brains, okay? Big helicopter, big audible activity, small brains, very small brains. That has no business in law enforcement at all. And this is exactly what's going to be addressed by federal legislation and in the federal prosecution of the state of California. Okay, the entities engaging in this, and this is documentation of impunity, and no American citizen shall be subject to this without severe consequences. And remember, the Ontario police is gang stalking with the people of the state. The Ontario police can't do it without the people of the state. And they're going to federal prison for gang stalking with police departments as well. All right, it's 11:40 p.m. QCD. They're gang stalking. They're creating light activity. And the entity is still engaging in that at Chevron, stalking in the path. This is the commercial means of that pattern of conduct, stalking, maintaining light activity while the Ontario police is pacing around. The people of the state are pacing on the roads and the highways. They're molesting with impossible light, while demons engage in what are futile acts. These are supposed to be acts of retaliation. Oh, a psychopath engages, oh, I'm going to shine you with light. That's a psychopath. They're sitting around stalking, aiming light. That's the demon possessed. They also like to have sex with children. That's what's sitting around shining with light, demon-possessed mental illness, while they're stalking with light and stalking in helicopters. Pedophiles. Okay? The entity that's engaging in what is kidnapping. That's what the Ontario Police Department is engaging in while they're hostile because of the truth that is happening to them. They're being disbanded, they're going to federal prison, and they're done with law enforcement. This is P.O.C. and stalking in the middle of the night, not helping their cause. They don't have one. It's already, they lost it. They lost in their contract with Satan, and they lost in the prosecution of the state of California. They don't even have a defense, and the whole world already witnessed a conclusive prosecution on the internet. This is QCD, the business that's engaged in accessing Starbucks while they're monitoring. The Ontario Police, Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue, ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue. They're engaging in a sex offense, ongoing accosting with impossible light, while the people of the state are pacing all around. These are psychopaths that are stalking while they're stalking with light, and they're stalking with the entity that is still pacing around using helicopter, okay? QCD is a part of that sex offense, okay? They're here sharing in the criminal elements of monitoring. QCD, the business, is going to be prosecuted for the sex offense of engaging in gang stalking, and I believe I've documented already. I will go ahead and remind everyone about the corporate headquarters of QCD, engaging in the public corruption of federal group stalking and monitoring, which is a sex offense. It's domestic terrorism. It's psychological torture committed by that business, sharing in that sex offense with the demons who are pacing in the city of Ontario, and QCD is knowingly and intentionally and continuously engaging in that. I've documented QCD in more than one city. They were gang stalking, for example, in Walnut, California at that Starbucks. They come in the middle of the night, monitoring on the video of the internet when I'm using Starbucks Wi-Fi and I'm uploading it. They are a means of peculiarized light in that specific environment, and that's the pattern of conduct shared by Starbucks, by the way, throughout the state of California, okay? But I just want to document molestation with impossible light activity at 11:43. This is what Driftwood Village is engaging in last night, where they are across the street, and as they're driving out of the driveway, impossible light moving across the wall of economy, and on the opposite side of the street, your headlights are not engaging in that light activity. Those are demons. That's, again, the pedophiles that are gang stalkers. They are demons who are stalking with impossible light activity. They have sex with children, and they also engage in what is stalking with light. These are the demon-possessed that are gang stalkers. Okay, they are engaging in what is the pattern of conduct, and they are doing so as a population who exhibit mental illness, while their illusions are going to be used with regard to diagnosing severe mental instability, the threat that they are to the public, while they practice their criminal monitoring system, which is demonic activity. They're terrorists who are also, again, pedophiles. The demon-possessed gang stalkers, they have sex with children. They're pedophiles. They engage in pedophilia. They're engaged in trafficking children, having sex with children. This is a core part of the pattern of conduct of the gang stalkers, and this is what businesses represent, by the way. This is what the gang stalking families practice while they're wanting to present to you what is normalcy. This is what the Ontario Police Department are engaging in: sex rituals, pedophilia, while they're engaging in this sex cult that is gang stalking, which the Ontario Police Department is a part of, while they're pacing around like the psychopaths that they are, and engaging in sexual violence. Sexual violence is a part of every aspect of the pattern of conduct. while you're monitoring my vagina, while you're stalking with impossible light, touching all over my person with light that's not even naturally occurring. All right? They're always engaged in violating the person, violating the privacy, stalking obsessively. They are sex offenders that do engage in and rely on pedophilia with regard to the ammunition behind their gang stalking conduct. This is the P.O.C. There's a pedophile crossing path right now in an Ontario Police Department vehicle. They are indeed engaged in gang stalking. These pedophiles are trying to stop the upload of the video evidence. These pedophiles that have engaged in what is ongoing kidnapping pursuant to obstruction of justice, those pedophiles are going to federal prison. Okay? They engage in pedophilia as an entity. When you're understanding a system, you're getting beyond what is the individual that may have committed a crime. They don't act as individuals. These are pedophiles. They maintain a system. Trafficking children is government conduct. These are pedophiles. The police department is engaging in facilitating and operating off of a system of pedophilia, of trafficking children, sexually violating them. These are the sex offenders that are monitoring me and molesting me with impossible light. And they're stalking in helicopter. They're stalking in commercial planes. They operate and identify by company names that you're familiar with, that perhaps you used to support. I don't know if you will anymore in the future. But they're all about pedophilia. You need to know that, okay? It's currently 11:47 p.m. and pedophiles are the ones that are molesting me with light, obsessed with my body, obsessed with my vagina, obsessed with stalking me. Hostile when at the same time you want to stalk and you're obsessed, you want to be me, but also you're trying to kill me as well. You're conspiring my death. That's the mental illness of those pedophiles that are gang stalking, okay? That's the mental illness, that ongoing paradox. That's a psychopath. All right, that's the pattern of conduct, the demon-possessed that are gang stalking. It's currently 11:48 p.m. The entity is monitoring evidence onto the venue of the internet. That's why you have this ongoing maintenance of traffic. It's based on my presence, okay? Wherever I'm at, the entity is going to maintain activity. They maintain ongoing activity in whatever means that they have. You'll have what is ordinarily the absence of traffic, not heavy traffic, but not when Erica Spencer is there. The demons will maintain ongoing activity, and the entity is doing so because they're engaging in the elements of monitoring, stalking. And these are pedophiles that do that. The gang stalking entity, they survive off of pedophilia, okay? These are pedophiles, and you need to understand that these businesses are engaging in pedophilia as an entity. They support pedophilia. They perpetuate pedophilia. So is the gang stalking police department that's going to be disbanded. The pedophiles that are the Ontario Police Department. Okay, it is currently 11:48 p.m. This is federal stalking while I'm being molested with impossible light as video evidence is being uploaded onto the venue of the internet. And again, ARCO, Chevron, and Starbucks, their core means of maintaining activity all around me right here, in addition to the entity that's stalking in the sky space, concentrating it right here at this intersection, and also the entity, the demons that are stalking on Euclid Avenue, north and south, and east and west on East Street, stalking all around. This is pacing, all right? It's P.O.C.